down and shut up, everybody, because it's that time. You know what? That was a little mean. Hey, everybody, why don't you have a seat? Open your ears, open your hearts. It's time.
Put your feet up around the fire.
Yeah, that's right. We're gonna have a nice, cozy chat about the worst things in the video game industry. Welcome back, everybody, to the RageSelect podcast. Right here on RageSelect. I'm Jeff.
I am Bryce.
Bryce, I'm sorry that you didn't get any of the Summer Games Fest. But
you know what? I will take that deal. I'll take that deal with the devil, actually. Thinking about it, I'll take that deal.
Yeah, not having to go over just trailer after trailer after trailer after trailer after trailer. Before we start, was there anything in particular that stood out for you in Summer Games Fest that stuck in your mind? Because it was a lot. Like, I just keep getting jumbled up, but there was like 3 or 4 things that I was really interested in, but I was curious to know if there was anything that hooked your attention.
This is my first Summer Games Hell season where I think I spent 0 minutes watching like any of the official streams or trailers or anything. Normally I will try to go through them or see headlines and click through, but this year I was mostly watching other streamers react and highlights of other streamers looking at stuff. And I think that's meant that the only thing I can kind of remember from this is the Tupac thing.
Oh,
Tupac is which I think yes, we'll talk about that a little bit.
That was definitely on the list. Well, I tell you what, like I said before, we got a lot of very consequential news to go over this week, and a lot of it isn't the best, but we're gonna do what we can. But before we start, it's fine. I feel like if the podcast content is super bitter coffee, I literally have the sweet foam that goes on top of it to talk about beforehand. Because Bryce, last week I couldn't figure out what to watch. I was looking at everything. I was looking, there weren't any movies on VOD that I wanted to watch. Oh, no. And I remembered this clip of this show that Amanda and I saw at one point. And so I watched half of a K-drama or K-romance comedy from 2018, I think, called it's called Touch Your Heart. Touch Your Heart.
Okay. All right.
I
touch my heart.
I remember we were looking for clips of K-dramas that take place in a subway, and there was a scene from this where there's this guy that's dressed to the nines, just sitting in a subway eating a Subway sandwich, just face mogging this woman who's flirting with the cashier, and it was the strangest thing I'd ever seen. I was like, I need to know the context for this, so I started watching it. It's the most contrived cotton candy bullshit you've ever heard. Is an actress who's trying to make a comeback, and she wants to be in a movie about a lawyer, but the director says, I'll only hire you if you go work at a law firm for 3 months. And so she goes to work at a law firm full of kooky characters, and they put her with the guy who's he's very severe. He doesn't want to take a lot of shit from some stupid actress, and she's in there how does he talk to me like this? What do you mean you've never seen it in my commercials? And then, as you can probably guess, shenanigans, hijinks,
40 hours,
very, very chaste hugging with lots of music in the background, some very, very slight kissing. I'm about halfway through, and it's there's been 2 kisses in this romance show.
Has there been any montage episodes yet?
Not really.
You might get one near the end.
but I know that because I can recognize the plot structure from anime is that they've kind of got the 2 leads together by about halfway through. But now here's the real bad guy, not like not like the slight the romantic comedy misunderstandings and did this thing happen and it kind of made me mad and then we're not. But no, there's a guy in here who's pulling up in the back of a black car, looking at him with the fucking dagger eyes, he's gonna come out of the one of those other Korean things and just start stabbing people.
Jeff,
oh boy,
Jeff, you lost me.
It's okay. It's an incredibly light and airy romance that has upped its stakes about halfway through to have a real villain. There's some unresolved stuff. There's also a lot of court stuff, which I got to admit.
Legal court?
Yeah, because they're all lawyers. They're working at the law offices, and so they have the stuff going on. there's so many sound effects when people do stuff. When they blink, it goes dink, 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 and look,
it's a cartoon sound.
People swoosh when they turn their head really quickly, and they got rack zooms and stuff. It is cheesy. It is cheesy as shit. Like, this is not this is not an auteur project.
That's the standard operating procedure over there, I think.
Well, I've watched one Korean legal drama, I watched one Korean revenge drama, and now I've watched half of one Korean romance show slash legal drama. But it's on Amazon Prime. It's 16 one-hour episodes, which I think is a fucking excessive, but but it is only one season. So yeah, if you need like some real escapism and you're willing to just turn your brain completely off, touch your heart is fun. It's fun. I don't know what this reference is that you're doing.
Of course you're not. There's no way you would. No one is gonna. That's for me.
You're teasing season 3 of Two Tusks over here with whatever this thing is. Anyway, so that's what I've been doing. How about you? What have you been up to in the last week? Anything interesting?
I just finished up the first season of the hopefully hit TV show Widow's Bay on Apple Television.
Everybody's talking about it.
This is such a good show. It's smart, it's clever, it's funny. It's like funny, not just like goofy, random. Like, and it's this good. If people don't know, it's basically like, what if the town from Jaws wasn't infested with a shark, but instead was like cursed, and we followed the mayor who doesn't want to deal with the curse and wants the town to be popular and to have tourists there. So it's this like horror comedy mix, and it's perfect. It's really perfect because both horror and comedy are a lot about building up tension and then breaking that tension. And the mix of those two are great. There's one really great dramatic scene where one character is talking to a like very important, very scary, spooky character, and in the middle of this like slow, quiet scene, like someone bursts through the door. I forgot my purse, and then it just closes the door again. It's like really good at figuring out the voice of it, and also like kind of in a place where like Obsession does really well in the movie theaters for being like kind of like a basic Twilight Zone concept thing. I think this is kind of in a similar vein where a lot of the episodes seem like they're kind of dealing with one-off supernatural things, but there is also a kind of overarching story about the island and the history of the island. I will say I kind of saw one of the big things at the end of the season coming, but other than that, a really good time. Only 10 episodes also.
Yeah, I started watching the first episode, and I watched it the wrong time, and I kind of trailed off about halfway through the first episode. It was when the mayor was talking to his kid, and I was just like,
fucking kid. I hate that fucking kid. They hate that. I hate Jeff. I hate that fucking kid.
From what everybody has said, I feel like I do need to give it another shot. I just need to push through that first episode and get going, because I could see the glimmers of what was going on. There was just that first episode was like an hour long, and I maybe would want that to be. You know, I don't like the hour-long first episode. I kind of want everybody to be the same length all the way through. But I hear it just got picked up for second season, right?
Yes, and I think they have an interesting hook for a second season. I kind of don't want this universe to go too long, but I think they have a good reason to stick around on the island for a while.
Okay. Oh, I also watched about in the background. I watched about 3 hours of the 24-hour Le Mans on HBO Max. I was downstairs. I was looking at my phone, and I was like, "What's on my TV?" And I saw that, and I put it on, and I watched it for a little while. And I kind of
a random pick. I wouldn't have guessed you would have picked that versus anything else on HBO Max.
Well, I was going through HBO Max, and then then it was like live, and it was this thing, and I was like, "Oh, right, Bryce likes those," and so I was like, "Maybe I'll check this out." Unfortunately, I picked the point where it was at nighttime, and I couldn't tell what the fuck was going on. Okay. It was just just a lot of headlights going around
podcast
turns.
part of the stream. If you didn't see the first 9 hours, that's the 1 hour you don't want to watch.
Yeah, I guess I saw at one point where it was like a guy in an electric car or something that broke down, but then that wasn't even dramatic, because then it was like, okay, now we've got a flag up to make everybody go to the right as they come through turn number 45, and here we are, and we don't know what's wrong with the car. There's a team that's walking, and I was like, I can't. So
and the thing the thing that makes Le Mans have everyone have like a real reserved sort of tone is because that track is huge. It's gigantic. It's super, super long. So if someone crashes in one part of the track, you don't need to stop up the track a few miles away.
Right.
If they will probably just get this cleared off.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't tend to watch much of the 12-hour, 24-hour endurance races. I'll kind of like maybe check out highlights if stuff's going on. But I think it was Toyota who won the race this year. So.
Okay, I did enjoy the 2 times that I saw pit stops, because I love seeing how fast they can do all that stuff where it's just like but
and in those endurance ones, that's where they can have like long pit stops where like the people just go in and there's like the driver kind of just like steps out and there's like not a lot of rush.
Yeah, I was we may just move past this, but I did see one where there was a driver switch and the guy brought it looked like he had like that old Xbox mech controller with him, like he brought his own
steering wheel
and instrument panel. It seemed like it was bigger than just a steering wheel. It seemed like it was getting in there with a whole bunch of shit. So I don't know, maybe he had a Zune or something with him, but
30-pin connector.
God, I swear I didn't do this, but speaking of Microsoft products, we're
failed Microsoft initiatives.
Oh boy. All right, so
talking about Xbox content strategy.
Oh no. We just got done with Summer Games Fest. Xbox had their big conference. It was a big celebration. Ash Sharma's been capitalizing the name and changing the logo to see-through green and asking people on Twitter what they want. And that was all, felt like it was moving in a kind of a positive direction. And now, so we got this memo that came out along with a whole bunch of stuff that came after it. This was probably bound to happen. Like all of that buttering up that we got before was probably just to get us all like, I'm going to take my girlfriend out for a really nice night before I explain how I wrecked her car last week type of thing.
I said this. I swear I said they're giving her like all of the easy layups.
Yeah.
Because it's going to get bad.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that when you look at what's happening here, okay, I've got some thoughts, but let's go over some facts first. Yeah. So we came out, this started with a big memo.
Start with the blog post?
Yeah, a memo I guess it was shared on Xbox Wire, and it basically talked about, it's the next 100 days, Xbox reset. And there was some pretty, I'm not going to go through the entire thing, but there were there's a couple things in here, like the quote at the top of this news article, I was saying, this cannot continue. Like here, let me just go through. There were 5 points where they were talking about different things, but the one that got to me was number 2, where they said, we will end this fiscal year at about a 3% accountability margin down year over year, excluding Activision Blizzard King. Over the past 5 years, we've spent over $20 billion on ongoing investments in our content platform and hardware subsidy, but our annual revenue has declined nearly $500 million during that time. Going forward, this cannot continue. Now, other articles have said that this means that there's they're getting a basically 3% profit margin out of the Xbox division based on their ongoing expenses and the things that they've done, which is like ridiculous in the game sector. But
I wonder why they carve out. I did wonder why they carved out ABK in that.
Yeah,
because I could think like maybe mobile stuff skews it. Like maybe like Call of Duty's skews that as like an outlier. But then why wouldn't you include that in operating?
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe it's so big on its own that they just have to.
I think we're just going to kind of go. We're going to kind of go all over the place here. But I think that the answer to that is that I think that ABK is profitable. I think between even though the numbers are down on, World of Warcraft expansions and Overwatch expansions and that, but I still think that's such a fucking behemoth that I bet that it's carved out to be like, no, you guys are cool. You keep doing your thing. Like, we want you to get profits up, but you're not an emergency. These guys are an emergency. So basically they went over, they've got 1 billion players that they're talking about, over 1 billion players that actually, this is interesting. Over 1 billion players choose to play Xbox on our games each year for a total of 72 billion hours across console, PC, mobile, and streaming. So I'm like, you got 1 billion players and 72 billion hours. So every player
72 hours a year?
72 hours a year on your platforms? Good God. 72 hours a year?
And that's console and PC. Now, the mobile platform.
And streaming.
Well, but then if you're considering like King,
that's no good.
But the streaming is going to be pennies.
Number 3, they talked about we are in a hardware crisis. This one was also fucking shocking, where they said that basically console components are 2x more expensive than they used to be, and by holiday 2027, which looks like their big push for they want to have they want to turn things around and get moving in the right direction by holiday of next year. Their estimates are
okay.
Yeah, 5 times the prices that they paid 2 years earlier for components, which, we've been watching that happen just across the board. There's not really much you can do about that. Let's see. Number 4 was
we bought a bunch of studios and didn't do shit with them.
Yeah, let's just read the first. We expanded our studio system when we needed a pipeline of content to meet multiple strategies across subscription, streaming, and devices. In the process, we have found ourselves overextended as we executed on changing strategies in a landscape of more readily available content. This is code for people gonna get fired, and that's coming in 2 stories. So,
which, if you think about how much Xbox has already been leaning on third-party content in the past few years, I guess particularly Lara Croft, Tomb Raider.
Have they been leaning on Tomb Raider?
Maybe not the past few years, but I know it was not that long ago that Tomb Raider was on the 5 icons of big Xbox things that Xbox was kind of promoting. Not that it was exclusive, but it was at least a marketing arrangement
with the remake trilogy, the reboot trilogy,
the shadow of the legend of the trade.
Yeah. And then the last, number 5, our current platform infrastructure is not built for the battle ahead. Our systems are overly complex, spanning hundreds of dependencies, which hinders our ability to move fast. Which, that one, I don't know. Isn't
Xbox built on Windows?
Yeah, I think I'm curious to know if what they're talking about is if I don't know if this is corporate speak for we're looking on the budget sheets and we're seeing all of the licenses that are getting paid to third-party app tools, integration. You got your what do you see at the beginning of every game? Simply Gone and Polytree and
but those are I think that's an interesting analogy, but those are the ones that are not going to go anywhere.
Sure.
People need Speed Tree and fucking all the video decoders and stuff. But I like the principles there. There's probably some amount of I don't know. There's probably some amount of BS on the Xbox Live setup or on compatibility with Game Pass or how your game interacts with the Xbox OS that maybe Xbox doesn't own. Maybe that's a contractor who owns that part of the thing. So when you have a problem, they got to go to the there's totally a world where Microsoft has corporatized this whole thing.
Absolutely. And it would not surprise me in any way, shape, or form, given my experience with Windows over the last fucking 30 years, Windows 95, oh my God, 30 years, that if this Xbox is just completely Frankenstein together, that they've just been tacking stuff on since the 360 era, and they've been doing fixes and workarounds and shit like this, and that the whole thing probably needs to be taken apart, rebuilt from the ground up, probably with Windows engineers for a better, compatibility with Windows, maybe. I mean, the thing is that DirectX was always a third party, or was always a Microsoft it was a separate thing. It wasn't an OS tool. It started as like a separate package that you would use for interfacing with games, and now it's kind of part of Windows. So I don't even know. Some of this is probably behind the scenes stuff that I can't. Yeah.
What seems really frustrating, not against what you said, but what seems frustrating about all of this is that Xbox and Microsoft have been beneficiaries of having already rebuilt everything for the Xbox One generation by moving everything over to PowerPC and making it so that these games were basically like making games for Windows.
Yep.
Even more so than it had been earlier. And so to come out of the other side of that and say, we need to do that again. We need to find that the efficiency that we got out of rebuilding everything.
Yeah.
But then also they have to rebuild everything, and it's really weird because it also doesn't seem like where is gaming, or where is Xbox gaming going next? Like, does the hardware need more power? I don't think so. Not from the past 5 years or so.
I don't think so either. I mean, I think that you could make a. If you go back to the heyday, to the tippy top of where Xbox was, it was on the 360 era. Cheapest console out there, and Xbox Live Arcade was a huge thing. You had all these indie titles, I made a game with zombies and Dishwasher Smile and all those fucking things that came out. And that was a big thing.
Alien Hominid.
Sure. Yes. Yeah. But you are correct. And I mean, I've been bitching about this since the Xbox One of like, it seems like they had 4 core franchises between Forza, Halo, Gears, and I don't know. I mean, put something else, a rotating slot for Sea of Thieves, and
Rare.
Take your pick.
Kinect thing Rare is cooking up.
Right. But that they've lost a lot of the identity that they had moving forward, and it seems like every moment they were like, okay, well, this is the way to go. And then, I mean, I've said this before, this is the way to go. And then 6 months later, they were like, no, we were wrong. This is the way to go. And like 6 months later, they're like, no, we were wrong. Streaming is the way to go. No, we're wrong. Everything's an Xbox. That's how we're going to. No, we're wrong. We're going to do handhelds by Asus. And it's like, I wish that they would pick, because any of these could have been a niche for them, but they had to face the reality of building and not shooting for. We're looking for, like, Xbox has been on a downturn, and you can't just change one thing and then suddenly be back in the 360 era. Like, you have to build back to that, and they have it now. Okay, so the other thing, there was a interview with Satya Nadella where they talked about basically, I mean, this is just the thing that I think we've all known for a long time. What is this quote that he had? Still, the challenge that we've had is we've not been monetizing that entertainment. In fact, if anything, we've been subsidizing that entertainment. In fact, there's more monetization of Xbox games happening on YouTube than at Microsoft. You can read the entire thing here, but basically what they're saying is that, like, we put a lot of money. We gave Phil Spencer the checkbook. And he was like, guys, I got a plan. I'm going to go out and I'm going to buy popular studios, and we're going to make popular games, and we're going to become popular again. And then just that didn't fucking happen. Like, there are some moderate successes in the Xbox library, especially with the contracted studios, but they're falling way short of Halo, Gears, Forza at its prime era. I mean, Forza 6 I know has been very successful, but where the fuck has Halo been? Like, I understand that, like, okay, well, the last one.
Every time they make a Halo, they say that they're remaking all of the Halos, and then all of them are bad, and then they have to spend 5 years making all of them okay.
Yeah. And now we're starting over again, and Gears is back to, it's a prequel. So anyway,
it's like what's the craziest thing about all of this is that these are all leadership problems.
Yes.
Leadership and management caused all of this.
Yes.
Like, the studios did what they were commissioned to do as best as they could. They made plenty of very, very good games. But the Microsoft machine, I've talked about this many times, that Microsoft machine does not have an algorithm or a process to go from video game idea to successfully bought video game product. They, despite all the money that they spend, they don't have the procedure there. They're just winging it.
Yes. And I mean, we saw like the last round of cuts where, I mean, just before we go on to this, because this is where this is where the rubber meets the road. But like, you know, Tango Gameworks was a creator factory to create new talent and incubate new talent. And Hi-Fi Rush was amazing. That was a great game. And they shut that motherfucker down. It wasn't even like unprofitable. They made a good game. They put it out. Boom. Shut down. Like we saw who is it? Redfall, Arcane Austin. Like this is you know, that Redfall game was either made because Arcane management made the decision to try to get investor funding for a multiplayer game and they could get it easier than they could for a single player game, or somebody pushed them to make a multiplayer game. But whatever it was, they tried something that they weren't any good at. It didn't work, but that you get a whole studio full of fucking artists over there. Like, the thing that irritates me about this, and this is, I kept thinking about, like, well, am I just going to complain about this for the umpteenth time? And I was like, the thing that I'm getting really irritated about with this is that we're about to get to a story where Microsoft is shuttering and or letting companies spin off. 3 great companies that have made great games in the past and have a storied history. This is the Embracer like thing all over again, where they bought a bunch of companies and then they didn't know what to do with them, and then they put out games that didn't go to the fucking moon, and now they're like, well, I guess we got to shut down these studios that have been around for 20 years. Microsoft has the money and the capital and the fucking market cap to not cut their legs off, but to heal, to give these companies the time to try to build back from potential, to learn from what they've done and build into something that they want to do. Like, I really am just getting tired of this idea that like once your team doesn't make the next blockbuster game of the year, that's fucking it. Like, you're done and you're out, because there's so many of these companies that could be nurtured into a better position, maybe with a little bit of corporate interference, to be like, we do want to get something that's kind of in this direction. But the idea of just, I mean, here, let's not bury the lead. Compulsion Games, the South of Midnight company, Ninja Theory, Senua, we'll get to that one, and fucking Double Fine. Like, they're on the chopping block right now. Compulsion is gone. Or Compulsion, I think, is maybe trying to find... No. Okay, Compulsion is gone.
I think nothing's been officially closed, but there's a lot of, like, smoke signals.
Yes. Ninja Theory is... kind of being signaled as they want to sell that one, and Double Fine is in talks to buy the rights to their own studio back from Microsoft,
as they should.
And the idea that you would just hack these studios out of there, I don't know, it's ridiculous. Like, yes, development times are really big, but fuck, man, you got a lot of talented people here who could do something.
Let me make an argument that is counter to the flow here just a little bit, which is I made this point earlier that, like, Microsoft doesn't have a playbook to make successful games. Like, they are not there to be hands on the wheel for anything. What Microsoft does have, and even today, despite like everything we're talking about, there is a largesse within Microsoft that there is a vein to unlimited money, and that is the thing that Microsoft can offer. Probably did offer to a lot of these studios to become a part of the Microsoft family of, we may not know how to fix your game, but we have got unlimited money, and if anyone's going to do the unlimited money play, it's going to be the people who actually have unlimited money. And now we're 5-10 plus years down that cycle, and we are seeing, no, that experiment does not work. Like, you can't maximize your VC way into games creation.
Yes.
and so then there's nothing left for Microsoft, because if you're a publisher, you either need to like be marketing to get the word out and sell games,
Right.
or you need to be the money up front to commission games,
Sure.
or you're the platform holder, and so you are controlling the platform quality of life or back end for online stuff, Xbox Live, whatever. And I guess they have that still. They still have a platform that they admit that they don't even like. They hate fucking using the shit.
Sorry, I was. Are you saying that like they can't go with Jeff's build back thing because they've demonstrated that they're too stupid to understand how to make video games successfully, and so it would be better to just cut these guys back out into the wilderness and be like, it would be better if you guys were out there making your own decisions as opposed to being part of this inept machine that doesn't know what the fuck it's doing.
Now, that wasn't the conclusion I started this train of thought with, but I do think that it is leading towards that.
Yeah.
Like, my argument is that the thing that Microsoft can do and generally does is it spends its way through problems. Whether we're talking about old school computing of extend and eliminate, or what we see here in gaming, where they've bought up all these studios and held onto them for decades and made them make shovelware, not because the games are bad, but because the ideas are just corporate pulled out of a hat or trying to resolve something that like marketing came up with.
Or if I could just interject really briefly, I also think that some of these games, like this is the other thing I had, the other thought I had. If you don't expect Senua 2 to be a modestly successful game, do not greenlight Senua 2. There was nothing about Senua's Sacrifice 1 that indicated that a sequel was going to blow up and take the world by storm. There was nothing to indicate that Lighthouse was going to be the next indie darling that everybody loved, or that Kiln. I mean, Kiln, I think, was a really weird roll of the dice where, like, 2 out of 6, maybe it becomes an internet sensation.
Yeah,
but
like if there's like a cute character quotient here.
Right.
There's like with the Lighthouse, like, oh, I don't know. You never know what goes viral.
Right.
The Senua thing, like, I don't understand. I have not played these games, so I'm speaking out of my ass, but those games don't have any curb appeal to me. I don't know why. They do nothing for me, like in a trailer or in a showcase, and I don't know. I hear that they're fantastic mental health experiences or something.
They're not. They're not. They're really not. Well, the first one was an interesting game. It was small. It was interesting. It was doing something, and they had this kind of the face tech with her face that they were working with, right? But that shit is
face tech
regular now. Like, they were doing some of the early Unreal Engine
That's
5.
Heavy Rain. That's Heavy Rain.
Yeah, and but like, or even South of Midnight. Like, I thought South of Midnight was fine for what it was, but it was like the idea that any of these were going to be blockbusters it reminded me of what you were talking about when the CEO of Square apologized to their shareholders because they thought that the Tomb Raider reboot was going to sell like fucking Call of Duty. And it's like, these games, you bought small, bespoke, niche, mom and pop, like free range, free trade studios. You bought Double Fine. They're not going to make you a Call of Duty. They're going to make the fucking Lighthouse game. You know, you bought Compulsion made We Happy Few. They were not going to crank out. Obsidian was not going to crank out a Call of Duty for you. And
what I think part of this Xbox reset thing is acknowledging that what has happened over the past 4 or 5 years has been heavy mergers and acquisitions, buying up studios. I mean, this was the storyline kind of mid-COVID was they had this was literally the story was that the Sony and Microsoft have so much money now, and it's not doing them any good to hold on to the money. So they have to go and buy studios so that this money could maybe work for them. And for Microsoft, they had Game Pass and the idea of these smaller bespoke games that just come when they arrive. What is part of that strategy? And this is the acknowledgement that strategy, and back to that point I was on, the unlimited money strategy is not, so it doesn't work. Like, this is the end of the experiment. We tried it, and probably the only company that seems even halfway able to have the capability of doing this, aka Microsoft and Xbox, kind of can't make it work.
Yeah. I mean, we're seeing downturns in revenue at Epic, right? Fortnite was the fucking money printing. Nintendo's sales for the Nintendo Switch 2 sales are not what they wanted. Like the whole industry is going through a readjustment. And I don't know.
It's going to be a big crash after COVID was printing money time.
Right, but yeah, I don't know. Anyway, let's get through a few more of these. Some of you may be a little bit confused because Ninja Theory showed the new Senua game at the Xbox thing that I talked about at Summer Games Fest. Well, wait a minute. This seems like 1 week later we're talking about that studio being shut down and or trying to find like an outside buyer. The scuttlebutt here, this is in a newsletter from GameFile, which is generally pretty
Steven Totillo. He's from
pretty
the good
reliable
times at Kotaku.
Yeah. The idea here was that they were going to put this out to generate excitement to then hopefully drum up a buyer for this. About, look, they've got this game. It's almost done. Look, it's a Senua game. You guys like the Senua games? Here. Take my Senua, please. But
take my Senua, please.
Which is such a fucking, oh my God, that's so cynical. I hate it so much. Yeah. And then let's see. We also have Craig Duncan, the head of Xbox Game Studios, resigned last week. He's been in that role for a couple of years. He was a Rare dev that got basically promoted to kind of the head of the Xbox Game Studios, which is one of those ones where like I don't wish harm on anybody, but like yeah, if this is the conclusion that we've come to,
but even looking through this line here, right? Like he was over Rare. He was leading Rare when they made Sea of Thieves,
right? Which
was Microsoft putting money into a project and ultimately like finding some traction with Sea of Thieves.
Yep.
And so like on paper, he's the right person to push up into the machine and try to see if he can recreate that success elsewhere.
Yeah, this machine sucks. I hate this machine.
Upgrade your machine to machine 11.
Let's see. We also had, this is just a brief report about how there's also some talk about how Arcane Leon and Bethesda and id might also be under consideration. Like maybe not, we're going to, shut down Bethesda, but that like Starfield didn't do the numbers that we wanted it to do, and that Arcane's been working on that Blade game for a billion fucking years, and that where's a new, the new Doom game sold pretty well, but probably not as good as they wanted it to. It got, it was kind of medium. It wasn't like Doom 2016.
It's not the franchise that they thought it would be.
Right. It's not blowing everybody out of the water. So like that's pretty fucked up. Also, we got the report that Microsoft might be considering spinning Xbox out onto its own company, basically divorcing Xbox from Microsoft,
cutting off the unlimited money spigot,
right, and making them have to work for it. Taking the unlimited sodas out of the break room, and now you got to buy your own sodas, you guys. So I actually worked for Microsoft. They did have unlimited sodas in the break room, but that was in like 2001, 2002 or something. Man, that's probably, I don't know. I mean, at this point, we're just talking about that machine and how that machine fucking sucks. Like, okay, fucking get them out of the machine. You guys got to make your own way. You got to fucking move into your one-bedroom apartment, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and get up at 6 a.m. and ride the bus and fucking like.
Here's a question I have about the machine. Now we're just speculating. If we have other things to get to, please shut me off. But here's a question about the Microsoft machine.
Yeah.
I'm already speaking about them in the past. Was Microsoft or Xbox's problem as a publisher, an overseer of game development, was it that they were too hands off or too hands on? Because I think a lot of the issues over the past few years with Xbox games have been that they take their time to come out, but it doesn't seem like they're at the high AAA prestige level of like, oh, this was worth the 8 years of development. Like, there are not a lot of good development hell stories where the product ends up being financially successful.
I'm just going on what all I've read. Am I, doing this for the last fucking gajillion years? But I think it's two things. One is that games take way, way longer to make. And that means that if the market changes, that your game is going to come out, your live service game that started development 8 years ago is going to be released into a cycle where nobody gives a shit anymore. And two,
worse than the movie industry, worse than the TV industry.
Yes. Oh, so much worse than just about any industry. And then two, that we are sitting in the middle of a complete reorientation about how video games, entertainment, and just culture at large works right now, between the rising prices of hardware, the AI stuff that I'm not a fan of, but whatever, like the way that games are being made, the way that games are being marketed, the way that games are being sold, the way that games are being played. Like I've had
and the things people are spending their time on instead of games.
Yes, I've had unending reports about how few games are being sold, how these big bets don't pay off anymore. Like one or two will, but a lot of them don't, and they keep making bigger and bigger bets in the hopes of it paying off more and more, and some of them do, but a lot of them don't. When they don't, it's just catastrophic. It's the sort of bet where it's like you're betting your mortgage on this shit, so that if it doesn't work out, like you got a problem. This isn't going to the fucking 21 table with $100 you could spare. This is like, selling your blood and your clothes and shit. So I think that those two things mean that you I don't know if it's possible to predict with a 7-year development cycle whether anything but the most safe sequel that does everything that you want it to is going to be a success. I think that's why you're seeing so much more success in the peak indie game space over on Steam, because these things can be churned out in a year. They can be developed from a game jam. They don't have to be $1 billion. They can sell 2 million copies of a $15 game on Steam, which is enough for a small studio to keep going. And so,
and what should make like any of the traditional game publishers right now, like, this is showing like this skill that like EA or Ubisoft are managing to, like, they are operating at a similar high
Overhead?
cost cycle, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of money at flow, and it all has to work for the next thing, and the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
And EA and Ubisoft have definitely gotten my share of ire over the few years, and they are responsible for closures and failures as well.
100%.
But they're not in this problem right now.
They're a little bit, but the thing is that this is one of the biggest ones, and so the failure is one of the biggest ones. Like I really mourn the studios that Embracer bought up that got fucked up by their shitty investment strategy, because a lot of those, Zen Studios and their pinball games, it's like I didn't really play those pinball games, but they were there. People liked them. They were very well. I played a few of them. They were fine. They weren't my thing, but they were somebody's thing. The guys that made that Gothic game, people love that Gothic game. Like it's not my thing, but people love that. So the idea of just like hoovering all this shit up just so that when you fail, you can take so much of the culture with you when you fall down is just, I don't like it. It's gross, and I'm 0 stars, 0 out of 5 on Yelp. Would not go again.
and I think that the thing that Microsoft, from their publishing standpoint, or really I guess any of the like AAA or quadruple A publishers should be worried about is, like, have you seen this thing that's going on in indie games a little bit of games getting published, quote unquote, by like influencers or the video gaming personnel? Like I'm thinking of like Ludwig has that off-brand games, and so
is that Animal Well, the one that did Animal Well?
No, that was Donkey, but that's
Donkey,
also
okay.
also similar. Though I think did Donkey, I don't know if Donkey made that game or if they just published it, but
published.
But they're finding, like, for indie games, right? It's probably not too much to get yourself attached as some sort of title sponsor, and if you're a video games guy who already can drive sales, so like one of the games that Off-Brand picked up a few months ago is like they're saying that, like, I don't know, somehow Northern Lion, who's a streamer and Let's Player guy, he's also just like somehow involved in the publishing, just so that like his name can be attached to this game, or that he'll play it when it comes out, and it's a little bit of a reason to like push the game.
Something to make it stand out.
What?
Something to make it stand out. Something to get it on that front page of Steam with the recommended and the popular, as opposed to the graveyard of just like 45 games a day that come out.
Yeah. I bet there's really interesting financial data of like where money spends turn into sales, right? Like TV campaigns, radio campaigns, fucking posters, I don't know, like versus like spending on influencers, and not just like to get some small creator to talk really nice about your game, but just to put it in front of the guys who are really popular. Yeah. Because if they like your game enough, then it's the Markiplier fucking thing all over again. But now like really honed to focus on games that this amount of economics can move a lot, right?
Yes.
Like this all doesn't matter a lot for Forza. They would just spend more money than
Sure.
But if you're like have an indie game and you can find a source of $10,000 or $20,000 or something, you could turn that into a pretty serious investment. Into the tail of your game.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, you know what?
And Microsoft won't do that. Microsoft cannot do that. They are fucking impossible to do that.
We're just about out of time, so I'm just going to ram through these last couple because they're kind of slight anyway. Last week with Gears of War E-Day, it was announced that it was going to be an Xbox exclusive. It wasn't going to be on other consoles, even though previously the PS5 logo was on posters for this thing, and they went on. Basically, I'll just skip to the end of this. There's a PS5 version of this game somewhere that is not being published because it is seen as more profitable to make this a console exclusive than it is to put it out on multiple platforms, or more beneficial to drive console sales / engagement. So,
I mean, when is this game coming out? In October? Yeah. I would say like them quote unquote making a PS5 version is them just optimizing the PC version when they would optimize the Xbox version.
Yes.
Right? Like that's really what we're talking about here. And so it's just very funny for the like, I'm not going to call it propaganda, but like the propaganda of it all to just be like, no, that was never true.
Right.
Just because it like literally was never announced out loud.
Yes. Technically correct. The best kind of correct. Let's see. There was an interview with Matthew Ball, the new chief strategy officer, who said, hey, you know what? This new hardware cost inflation means that it's probably could be a great time for xCloud, because, you can't afford a computer anymore, so you can just pay us to stream your shit on xCloud. And then I threw up and fell out of my chair and died, and I had to be resuscitated by the paramedics because fuck a bunch of that. The day that I can't play the game on my thing that I bought, you go fuck yourself, Matthew. like
only Microsoft can say this because they have all the server GPUs.
Yes.
No one else is in this position.
He gave this interview in front of the Azure building with the logo right behind him. And then last but not least, hey, this is my other favorite throw up and die and fall out of my chair story is there's in the back end of the Xbox website, people have found some code that indicates that they might be getting ready to add Klarna and PayPal installment plans to the checkout of Microsoft hardware. And that to me indicates that Helix is going to be as expensive as they thought, if not more, and that they realize that they're not going to be able to sell $1,500 consoles to us next generation without, or to a large audience next generation without some way to mitigate, all of us who don't just have $1,500 for an Xbox laying around, or more, or $2,000 depending on their 5X RAM stuff. But that's such a bummer that, I mean, and this is looking at the back end of the fucking web code, so it's not exactly like the biggest thing in the world. But
I'm trying to find, because I swear there was another story where Microsoft had planned to put Klarna into Edge. Maybe they were gonna build Klarna into edge somehow.
Oh my god, I hate it so much. That sucks so fucking bad.
I want to say this was 2021, it seems, but the idea was that along here I'm looking at a graphic of like a field to enter your card number and like an autofill pop-up that says like available payment methods, buy now pay later. Oh, it's with Zip. It's not Klarna, but it was a buy now pay later thing.
Oh my god,
built into Windows. I think they shut that down because it sounds horrific.
All right, I gotta go throw up and fall out of my chair and die, but we'll be back in a minute with more news. Stick around. And we're back. And I wish that I had I wish this was the shift into better news, but anyway, Unreal had their big Unreal State of Unreal thing last week. I got to be really honest with folks. I didn't watch it. I was like, I've watched 2 or 3 of these things and I find them dull as dishwater. So I just looked at some of the like, what's going on? Big thing here. Unreal Engine 6 is going to be taking the Unreal Engine 5 and the Fortnite Unreal editor and smooshing them together.
And then calling that 6.
And calling that 6. I'm sure there's going to be probably more to it than that. But the other thing that they're going to be doing is adding a... okay, I don't think that they're adding any kind of in-house AI, but what they're adding sounds like API support to basically hook Claude or whatever, Midjourney or whatever into your workflow without having to exit the Unreal editor. That you could basically just kind of have Claude there inside of the editor, not provided by them, but basically provided by whatever your subscription is outside, which is, I don't know, man. That just kind of, it's better than than jamming it in there where you have, it's better than when my TV tried to get me to order a pizza and I found out that LG had put some kind of AI bullshit in my last TV update that was like, did you want personalized recommendations? And I was like, fuck you. I don't want my TV telling me what to do. I'll tell my TV what to do. So it's not a stealth AI insert, but the fact that it's there probably means that it's going to get a lot more use. I don't really know in the coding world how much like Claude code is being used. I've heard it's very good for basic coding work. Yeah, but I'm not a programmer. I don't really know. So
my experience with AI has been, I have tried over the past couple of weeks to find some use cases for AI with like the video and podcasting editing stuff. And it's none of it's ever technically been worth the time. Like it's always costed me 2 hours to figure out a way to do a thing that would have cost me 1 hour to do.
Sure.
And then usually what you get out of it is like intern level quality stuff. Like some of the models like that make JPEGs and animated videos and stuff, those are like tuned to make that stuff. But like even a lot of basic stuff, you have to be, it's like having an intern. You have to be very explicit because they don't know the high level things that go into, they will just say, oh, I can edit a video. And then they don't know anything about like how to edit a good video. What makes a good video? Like, well, you didn't tell me to make a good video. Now I'll Google what's a good video. Oh.
The only time I do use AI for the recap spreadsheets that I make to basically translate one of those stupid websites that's just like all the trailers from Summer Games Fest into a spreadsheet that's like trailer, release date, 1-line description. But I could do all that myself and it is incredibly tedious, but I don't know about using this for actual code, for actual art generation, for actual stuff. I don't know. We'll come back to that. Put a pin in that. We'll come back to that in just like 5 minutes.
A lot of the coding software already has this stuff in it. If what they're just saying is like it has access to code completion, like, okay, then this is kind of a nothing.
Yeah. But then we also had this interview with Tim Sweeney where they were talking about this kind of dystopian talk about how like
really
we live in a time where we're seeing all of the entertainment is going into Roblox and people are leaving and people are going away and they're watching other stuff and they're not playing video games. But hey, Unreal can help with that because now you can integrate this, like the AI is doing half the work, and so we can do this work faster, we can do this work better, and we can do more prototyping faster or to get stuff out with less cost in front of people to kind of catch up to this short form stuff. And he said it better than that, but I don't know. That was kind of the gist of it. And I was like, if everybody in the world wants to play games in Roblox and I don't, then I'm just ready to kind of go, I'm done. I'll go find a new hobby to have. I'll start a D&D group. I'll play a lot of chess.
And if we get to that point, then we'll find out that developers have not had the inclination to work against that tide strong enough to carve out. There's no world where Roblox becomes the monopolistic video gaming platform unless everybody else has completely given up, because Steam's not necessarily going to go like it's one of these weird like doomsday scenarios that kind of existentially I don't see how you get from point A to point B. I mean, Tim Sweeney is very like invested in making sure that Unreal 5 with this new Unreal Fortnite doodad is worth a whole new number upgrade.
Yeah, I don't know. I was just rereading this statement. This is one of the most dystopian things I've ever seen. Build better games more efficiently and build for connected games where all players are connected and economies are connected. So players, instead of seeing these as isolated products, see them as part of a global ecosystem that all game developers participate in together. I don't want to live in the Borg future. I don't want to be part of the collective. I like being over here by myself. I want to be over here. I don't want to be connected to anybody anymore. I've done it. I don't like it. It sucks.
Well, and you know what they're going after is the Roblox Fortnite community, because that part goes into the other part of the Unreal 6 thing, which is they are wanting to build in stuff where you could, like an NFT, buy a skin in Fortnite and then play a game that uses the Fortnite engine, and then that skin would just be available to work inside of the game. And having that be like a framework for other people to do the thing that NFTs said that they were going to do and nobody did because there's no fucking value to the fucking horse armor.
Grodius Maximus. Hate it. Don't want it. 0 out of 10. But then let's go back, because Epic also put out, I don't know how you feel about that. I don't know if you watched this, but they put out this 5-minute video about Epic's art concepting process that basically showed a kind of a workflow, and a lot of it showed how AI was built into their workflow in a way that was so honest that it made me recoil in horror from my screen. They show the first thing that they started with was basically creating kind of a rough sketch of a character in Photoshop. With some basic coloration.
By hand, a human doing this.
By hand. And then typing in, like, they got this kind of integrated generational AI thing, and they type in this prompt. And I want to pause here because what it says on that prompt is clean up the rendering on this Fortnite character. Don't change the design, just the rendering, white background. The point where it's like, you don't even have enough control over this. That you can't, it's your internal tool. You can't just don't change this as like a parameter on this thing. So they go through and they do this, and then it renders out, and then, I mean, they show all this, and then it renders out a character that looks like they're a Fortnite character with kind of like a glossy Photoshop, kind of a rough of a Fortnite character.
It went from a digital sketch to like what it would look like in a 3D model.
Right. To mostly complete character model. But then the next part of this that they were going through real fast, that they literally said, so it looks like the AI put like a skull on this handbag. I didn't want one of those there. So then you got to go back in and you got to erase all the bullshit that the AI put in there. I want to redo the way this color looks. I want to redo the way this thing works. I want to do this thing.
They should be using in-painting for this. There's AIs for this.
So you got to go back in, and then you got to clean up the bullshit that the AI did. Then you can basically do a turnaround. They also kind of went over a few other examples of putting together stuff in a 3D engine and their UE engine real quickly. And kind of going through different, I don't know. It was weird because we've heard so much about this. This is the first time I've seen somebody actually put out a video going like, this is how we do it. This is what we do. And I looked at it and went, it really struck a chord in me. Bryce, see if you can follow along with me here. You're good at stuff, right?
I think so.
You know,
Hope so. Yeah.
like when you do something that you've done, that you've learned how to do over the years, you get fast and good at doing it. You get fast and accurate and good at performing these tasks, doing them in a competent way that is makes for good output. And so the idea of like, well, this person did this stuff in Photoshop and then they, kind of had this thing come in and maybe get rid of a few hours worth of work with kind of refining the way that the colors and the lines were and kind of straightening things out. It's like, well, if you're a good artist, eventually you get to the point where that's not an onerous chore. That's just a part of the process. And then the thing I worry about more than anything in the world is that then eventually you get people who don't know how to do it without that, who only know how to hit that button, don't change anything, do it in Fortnite style. And I think that's, I mean, maybe this is just a broader question about where humanity goes, but it seems like such a shame because you're cheating yourself out of that process of getting really good at something by offloading some of the more onerous tasks to the AI.
I'll say this. I was trying to get an AI, a working AI use case kind of going the past few weeks. I had this project that I kind of was a little comprehensive and so I tried to see what things AI could help me with. And it did find some things, right? It was able to like, okay, this is one long recording. So you probably need to have, this is this video here, and then this is this video here, like time codes, basically.
Yeah.
Really simple stuff like that. Or like looking over the transcript to see where like where just from the words you can tell, oh, they misspoke because they're repeating themselves here or something. And it like 95% got that well. Like it still ended up me needing to go in and say like, oh, actually, these things also need to be graphics. Also, this is not right. You read this wrong. And like, okay, so I've got all of everything I just said. It wasn't worth the time, and I would have been faster doing it. And it did at least keep my momentum going a little bit to have something to work on, to refine. And I would say that this is something where in the creative professional hierarchy, really, this is what happens as you move up in the creative and artistic rate, is that people below you do the more lower level tasks and you are a higher level person. There are plenty of video producers who just have editors and they tell the editors how to do stuff. And like,
sure.
This is the shape of it, is really what I'm getting at, is like I'm going to keep hitting this intern thing. It is an intern. And sometimes interns are very valuable, and sometimes they're fucking not. They're a waste of time. Do we have time for me to go on an off ramp, or should we move on to another thing?
We got a little time.
I was talking to my therapist of all people about AI last week, if you can believe it, and I had the idea that we're going to look back at the way that we're using quote unquote AI, generative AI, these AI models and stuff. We're going to see this time as a very like wasteful time, or like a very inelegant time, because like I think we'll look back and see, like, if you wanted to have an AI come up with a recipe for you, you would go into Google and say, like, I don't know, give me a recipe for this, and maybe it'll put together something, or maybe it'll find you something.
Right.
But to create the AI to solve that problem for you, you have to like teach it everything in the world. You know? That's like saying if you needed to teach your calculator grammar, it has its own thing going on here.
Right.
And so I feel like that's what we'll look back at this time now as like, oh, you you had an opening in your factory, and so you thought, I'm going to birth a new child to fill this employment.
Right. You were using Skynet to do your taxes, and it's like we could probably get away with something a little bit less,
or
than
something
that,
more
but
honed. Like the legal profession, I understand, have like their own specific. They have a really strong need to figure this thing out because a lot of lawyers are getting in trouble by using AI and not fucking checking, by thinking that they're a fucking senior attorney, and they're not. They're a normal attorney, and they have to still do some fucking footwork.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. It was just interesting to see this stuff actually happen, because I think it was one of the first times that I've seen. We've got all these different
I recommend looking at it.
All these different it turns out that there were Gen AI things in this game that we're supposed to take those out, blah, blah, blah,
it's
blah.
complicated,
but like this is showing a lot more of that process. And I don't know, I could definitely see some benefits to it, but by the same token, the thing that worries me more about the AI stuff, and we are going to move on after this, anything else, is that I'm coming at it as somebody who went to art school, and like I could do this stuff by myself, and I can see it. What I worry about, the way I worry about a lot of stuff these days, is what it's like for somebody. What kind of experience does a person have who never had to go through it the long way before they figured out? And like I'm on that train as well. I took a little bit of oil painting, but I didn't have to learn Leonardo da Vinci Masterworks before I was able to graduate and go into Photoshop, right? But I don't know. Some of this is a little. It irritates me a little bit, because as a time-saving thing for you or me, I can see that as a good thing. But then I've started to become obsessed with the what does the person who comes later look like, who didn't have to go through all of the stuff up till that point? What does a person who comes into this industry with this technology already there? What does their experience look like moving forward?
And I think those are the intangible things that AI, as I can see it, can't fix, can't account for yet. If you like writing, you're going to enjoy writing, and people who will read your writing will see when you have built up a voice and are using subtext and context.
Sure.
When you put effort into it, that is really visible. And I think a lot of people get turned off by AI because it seems like a willful shunning of intent and effort. And I think in a lot of cases, that shoving off of one responsibility doesn't always get replaced with other responsibilities for people who put things on the internet.
Sure.
But it helps to have something bad to fix.
It's easier to fix something broken than it is to create something from scratch. That's true. But if you never do the scratch part, then you lose a little something in the process. There is a benefit to starting with a blank canvas and then looking when you're done at something that you did by yourself and going, that's mine.
Yeah.
I did that.
I'm just saying that
myself.
AI can't give you taste. It can't give you good taste. And by the time that you're telling AI, use good taste. Frame this. By the time that you are telling it to care about it, then you have started caring about it, and then
right.
You're built. And so it's such a whole thing.
It's all very common. This is existential fucking questions that are hard to answer a lot of times.
The creative fields are going to be upside down for the next few years because of this stuff.
Probably more than that, but anyway, we also had the story where apparently Ponkel was planning on maybe doing a Vampire Survivors crossover with Fortnite, and apparently was very turned off by the video that I just described, saying that they're kind of, reevaluating to see if they still want to do that, because they're a very kind of no AI type of developer. So, I don't know.
Okay. Here's that attention you ordered.
Yep. Let's see. We also got, this was an interesting, I don't know if you watched this, Bryce. This was so that they showed off that Tomb Raider game at Summer Games Fest, the one that Flying Wild Hog is making, and there was a part where they were doing an interview, and they asked one of the head developers kind of about the use of generative AI in that new Tomb Raider game, because it's being published by Amazon. Amazon has recently had a big push towards that type of technology, and what was interesting about this interaction was the developer kind of started to be a little bit on the back foot, and then the PR rep in there was just like, we're not going to talk about that right now. We can discuss that once the game is out, kind of trying to head off any discussion of it, which this is one of the other things that bugs me about AI is I keep coming back to the idea that in the past, when there was a new technology that came out, I felt like people wanted it real bad. Like you didn't have to shove it in stuff. Like people were like, give me that fucking iPhone. I will line up around the block for that iPhone. Give me the Facebook account. I want that Facebook account so bad. I want that Gmail account. And then with the AI stuff, it seems like I don't like this idea that it has to kind of be like, well, we're not going to talk about that sort of thing, that it's so contentious that you can't get a straight answer in an interview, especially one that has a corporate PR rep sitting right next to the person.
Well, and, Amazon has their own place in the AI field that we did stop talking about it in the last, but this is like not uncommon for especially like video games people in interview like situations to have a PR person there to smooth things over or to clarify what that person meant, and I think it's just confirming that like either the Amazon side of this or the Crystal Dynamics side of this are aware that like this will be a question that keeps getting asked, and maybe they only have so much of an answer for it, but regardless, like talking more about it spends more time talking about it, and there are X number of consumers who, regardless of how much you use it, just talking about it and finding out that you use it is enough for them to say, all things being equal, then I am now unfavorable toward this product. I have no other thought than, oh, there's an AI thing to it. Negative 0.1 point to Gryffindor. Like, and that's enough.
Yeah.
Like with all of the other entertainment options out there, you could just go fucking watch The Office. We know that they didn't use AI in The Office.
You could go play those Tomb Raider games from the Xbox era that didn't sell well enough. Yeah, I don't know. The thing is, if you've got to dance this much around it, it's weird to me that it's like it has to be a secret. Like you can't just say, yeah, man, we're using that stuff. It helps us get this stuff out way faster and like with a better fidelity or blah, 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 because you know that you're going to take flack for that. And I think that I'd rather, if we are going to be moving into this part, I'd rather we're all just upfront about it as opposed to, playing the little dancey dances with like, well, we're not going to discuss that. Once the game comes out, maybe we'll talk about it type of thing. And I'm like, I wish that they were more upfront, because if they're going to use it and that's going to turn people off, than being coy about it. I mean, the answer, like when you watch this thing, it's like the answer is yes, they're using it, right? If they weren't using it, the guy would have just been like, no, right? But the fact that he stumbled into the PR rep said, no, we're not going to answer that. That's like when the DMCA a leak from Persona 6. That is confirmation that they are using it.
And
so,
I think, like, to read the tea leaves a little bit more, the fact that they don't want to talk more other than acknowledging that it is there somewhere in the stew means that it's probably in the things that it is hard to extricate themselves from. Like in the example of that Epic video, which was kind of interesting, of like, oh no, we used AI to like concept art this, to like make the start of a model, but now we have the model. What do we got to do? Just going to make a whole new model? We got the models here and it's done. I bet that it's because this game's coming out in like 6 or 7 months, February, and that's still some cooking time. That's still some time to cook. And if this is a team that needs AI just as a part of their like total efficiency quotient, then it would be very difficult to the development process to have a huge PR fiasco in the middle of it, saying, "Oh, turn all those things off. You're not going to sell this game if you have this thing," and then that pushes back the date, and then there's a lot. it's an answer that makes it seem like there's a lot riding on the correct truth.
And all that makes sense, but by the same token, it's not like we started development of this new Tomb Raider when AI was hot shit and nobody had any problems with it. Like from day one, from the first time that this had become a thing, or okay, maybe about 6 months, 8 months in, right? But like at the point where it is now, that discussion is still being had. It's not a done deal. So if you decided that you were going to go that way, you had to know this was going to come up at some point.
But I also bet that there's a world where it's not a directive on high to use AI. Like, in fact, right, they're addressing AI in this PR push, but it's not to like say that it's making the game better. Like, it's not like they're like getting in front to say that the AI is making this thing any better. And also, and so it makes me think like that's not a conscious thing of like, day one, folks, hello, welcome to Crystal Dynamics. You are allowed to use AI. Like, I think what happened is that some of the hundreds of people decided to use AI and nobody really cared that much in the building. And now it's happened, and who knows how much of it's out there. I hope, please don't audit us. Please don't ask us to audit this.
Yeah. Okay, we got to pick up just a little bit here. Let's see. There was a big thing last week where there is a, what do they call them?
Earnings call?
The activist investor group inside that owns shares in Kadokawa that is pushing Kadokawa to basically sever FromSoft from Bandai Namco because they see them as leaving money on the table, because FromSoft publishes directly in Japan, but in the entire rest of the world they publish through Bandai Namco. And basically this group is saying that as shareholders they are not getting the return that as big of a return as they should on these global blockbuster games that FromSoft has been putting out, because it's getting a chunk of that is going to Bandai Namco. And so they're trying to oust the Kadokawa leadership in order to install somebody that would be more aggressive about changing that. Now, a lot of this has come... This group has a bad reputation because way back a long time ago, somebody in this fucking group talked about how floated this idea of spending 99 cents to make Mario jump higher back in the bad old the beginning of the
days.
monetization days. Yeah. But the question here is, if they take a more profit-oriented approach to FromSoft, does that mean that FromSoft then gets pushed towards like, you got to make the sequel, you got to make the DLCs, you got to make the stuff, the safe investment stuff, and not the Dusk Bloods or, you know, some kind of weird other shit that they're currently working on.
Do we think that FromSoft has not already been writing their own like ticket for this? Like, I don't think of FromSoft as a development team who is like being forced to make any, like, I don't think that they did Armored Core because some suit told them to do it. I think they made that very good game because they wanted to make that game.
No, the worry here is that this action on the investor part will result in what you are describing, that they're currently independent, but that by having a group of investors that wants ROIs more than anything else, that they will then be pushed to make Dark Souls 4, Bloodborne 2.
That's what they're accusing Bandai Namco of. Okay. Bandai Namco. Fucking, oh God.
Miyazaki came out and basically said that, like, to date right now, there's nobody pushing them to do anything. They've got like 3 things in the fire, and none of them are fucking sequels or remakes or any of that stuff. But it is something to keep an eye on, and it was something, I don't know. I read this story very closely because I'm like, please don't take away one of my favorite studios for the fucking shareholder value. Please don't ruin this. Ruin everything else. Can you just leave Miyazaki to make the weird fucking games? Like, that's all I want. Just the one little Japanese developer to make their own fucking weirdo games, please.
He at least seems like someone with a big enough name that he can get what he wants with enough time. Like, I don't think there's a world where he gets trapped into a corporate structure like that now that he is who he is, for lack of a better description.
Yep. We got the announcement last week. This is just kind of an ominous announcement that EA has.
I have thoughts on this.
Okay, EA launched a new brand, EA Advertising, that is specifically there to coordinate advertising being put into games. We don't have any specific details about what this could mean or what this will mean moving forward, but it doesn't seem like it's just going to be about putting more Mountain Dew ads in Madden. It seems like there's going to be, I don't know, more monetization, more direct partnership deals going into more EA titles moving forward. Now, who knows? This may have a lot to do with the huge amount of debt that they're taking on from this acquisition deal and a need to, try to get that shit off the books by doing more monetization deals. I don't know, though. Bryce, you obviously have big thoughts. Tell me your big thoughts.
Well, the thing is, like, EA has already been, we know EA has been in the advertising game because Madden and FC, FIFA are drenched with ads. There's product placement all over those things. We also know that EA, for over a decade, has been doing this in their other games. We had this exact same conversation a decade ago about the billboards in Burnout games. You're going to play Burnout, and there will be a billboard for the new CBS show, Jeff.
Yep.
And so this is just like creating an arm who is going to be serious about that. And I think what that looks like is a future version of Madden where the ads on the sidelines of the stadium can change every month based on which of the buyers on the back end buy the or like we've seen a few years ago, 2K was like putting video ads or video interstitials into like the UFC game or something, or a basketball game. And like there are two ways you can do that. You can either like make a deal and burn that into the disc or the fucking code of the game, or you can code it so that like double click, it does an auction and it actually sells that ad dynamically. I don't think that this will change. I don't think the world of like, oh, then your Sims are going to have ads on their TVs in Simlish. Like, I don't think any of they will still have to reckon with whatever they decide to do.
I don't know. It's kind of weird to me because all of the I have yet to figure out an example that I'm not as bothered with this as I am with some other things, because so many of the EA titles take place in genres where there are ads. It's like, okay, well, you're making a football game and there's got big billboards around the stadium with fucking Lowe's on it. Well, that's what it looks like in real life. It would look weirder if it was some off-brand, not Lowe's. Like, oh, I'm driving through Burnout Paradise and there's a billboard that's showing me trying to get me to watch fucking K-dramas. Well, that's what you would see on a billboard in a place. Even if it was like a destroyed billboard in Battlefield, like that takes place in
the world.
Now, if you're if you're advertising Widow's Bay and Mass Effect, that's a different story. But like if you're putting modern advertisements in places where there would be modern advertisements and selling that, I don't have as much of a problem with that as I do other stuff. Like if the soda machines in Battlefield were Coke machines instead of whatever they put in there, like cola drink machines with a made up bunch of bullshit in them, I don't necessarily have as much of a problem with that. But then I guess it is kind of encouraging that behavior that then could end up with Widow's Bay Season 2 and Mass Effect.
But, I think it makes sense for EA as an organization to have an office dedicated to dealing with ads, because whether there's a technical element of doing some sort of live auctioning, or maybe you just need the people who know how to make these deals across Madden and NFL, across college sports where all of those ad deals are fucking weird. Any of these sports, any of the racing games where you can have people who either can approach brands or can approach the leagues, right? Like now, let's say hypothetically, this opens up some integration between the NFL and the Madden game. I don't know what that let's say NFL gets sponsored for a Lowe's game in the middle of the season. Well, then you got a guy who kind of knew that was coming, so they could do it day and date, and now you turn on Madden and you're playing the right thing in the right thing on the day. Like,
sure,
these little things. Because It's not going to be unskippable ads. It can't be. People will just hate it.
They'll just throw the console out the window.
They will stop buying it, or they will buy the previous year's game.
Yep. Okay.
Oh my goodness.
Treyarch's studio head Mark Gordon is retiring after 22 years. He's the last one left from the old days of the Black Ops. Yep, that's happening. I'm glad. I think that Treyarch's Call of Duty games suck assholes, so I'm not upset at seeing this happen. That's my statement. I don't like the Black Ops games, and I don't like the ones that they've worked on. Vanguard, Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops 6, fuck them all. So, yep.
There you go.
Current COO is moving up. Ubisoft is closing down some more studios.
Can we cut out the thing where I said Ubisoft was doing good an hour ago?
Well, yeah. Ubisoft Winnipeg, this is just basically just shedding more staff. I mean, as Ubisoft projects just
this was a mobile
failed to become yes. And so that stuff isn't making as much money as it used to. That's bound to happen, but also Ubisoft is just shedding staff and projects like crazy, so it's not completely unheard of. This was interesting. There was a game called Luna Abyss that was on Game Pass that came out May 21st. It was kind of a cosmic horror bullet hell game, kind of like Sorrows, but from a first-person perspective. I played it on for Patreon. That studio is shutting down. Quali Labs published that, and apparently they put out a statement basically saying like there's nine people that made the game and that it didn't do well enough, and so they just liquidated the entire thing, and here's their LinkedIn profiles, and we wish them the best, and they're all great, and hire them, please. This game is an 81 on Metacritic. It's actually a pretty decent game, and it came out literally just a couple of weeks back, so not a big thing.
Oh, so I wonder. So this was like Quali Labs, which is like a development studio inside Quali, a publisher. Mm-hmm. And so, I guess this is the publisher. I was like, why would such a small team get shut down? Well, if they're actually a part of a publisher and the publisher decided the game wasn't good enough or X, Y.
Yes.
Okay.
Also, we've seen a lot of aggressive, because I believe Quali is, obviously from, we've seen a lot of Asian investment in other studios or in projects being like yoinked over the last year or so. This has happened a lot with Tencent and a few other places. So, but it's just kind of a bit of a whiplash to be like, this game reviewed pretty well. It was on Game Pass. I didn't think there was anything wrong with it. And just like, whew, gone. So, also, we got an update to Horses, the game with the people with the horse heads on. Yeah, apparently. Okay, so the whole thing with Horses was that they weren't able to sell it on Steam or the Epic Game Store. We got the numbers on it. They put out a statement. About 30,000 individual sales, about $100,000 in revenue.
Oh, Jesus, that math sucks.
Yes, it does. $30,000 of that went to the game's director. $62,000 went to the game's private funders, covering a $50,000 investment and $8,000 in returns. $12,000 in returns, and then the remaining $8,000 went to the developer, who took out $50,000 worth of loans to make this game. So basically, this game they're $42,000 in debt at this point from this. Now, there's a bit of a the question here is: did not being released on Steam, was the publicity that this game got from not being released on Steam, was this the best result they could have gotten? Like if this had been released on Steam,
news cycle, and they just
right
with no controversy.
Yes, would they have even gotten the sales that they got? Which I don't know, because this developers put out a few games over the years. I hadn't heard of any of them, so. But it's still sad. I mean, you take out a loan to try to do something, and then that whole saga with Steam just not telling them why, really just ripping the rug out from underneath them, and Steam's having Steam's appeals process be so opaque really worked against them. And then Epic said they would do it, then they pulled out at the last minute, and so
it's hard to have condolences for a game in this way. I'm very sorry that the finances of this project ended up at a negative quotient.
Yes.
I hope that. Am I supposed to judge the art based? Do we want me to judge the art based on that? Because I think that's putting the cart before the horse.
I mean, most of the reviews for this seem to be that it was that it was an okay game.
Isn't it like it's $3 on GOG right now or something? Like it's not a huge thing, right? I mean,
something around that.
They sold 30,000 copies and they got $100,000 off of it. That's $3 a game.
$3 and change, yeah. Let's see. I forget what the context of this was. There's been some questions about whether Marathon killed Destiny, and people kind of angry at Bungie and Sony for shutting Destiny down. And there was kind of there was an interview where they were talking with one of the community managers who basically said, like, if you do want there to ever be a Destiny 3, the best way you could do that is by playing Marathon if you like it, because that's basically, I mean, we've seen the writing on the wall for this. This is their last shot. There it is.
That's what the kidnapper says.
Yep.
You got to buy my next game if you want the game that's already the proposition. To buy the current game in hopes that you get a better game down the line. This is so sad. This is really sad that, like, what must the morale be at Bungie?
I mean, and the player count for season 2 has not been
Why
great.
would it be?
Like, it was a bit of a
spike. Season 2 doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean, like, I know that they're testing the PvE map. We did the video on it for RageSelect, but like, that's small potatoes. That's not going to get me to look at it again. You have to get people to look at it.
Needs a Final Fantasy 14. You got to, like, yank that shit and fucking rework it, put it out as a single player campaign, make it more accessible, make their hardcore mode for the sweaties that keep want to playing it, but give something to give it a broader appeal, because it's just not broad enough right now for the audience.
And the annoying thing about this is, like, they will need these games to still be up and running until such a day, if that happened, could happen, because it's not like they can just shut down for a year and a half, because they need the money for the kid. It's the kid. This is what the kidnappers say. This is how the kidnappers win.
Don't Nod, the developer of Life is Strange, apparently will run out of cash in November unless there's new investment that is found.
Am I getting robbed, Jeff? Are they robbing me? Hey, I just need $400,000 to get through the end of the year.
Hey, did any listeners have $400,000 for developer? I wouldn't give it to them because I don't like Don't Nod's games. They're just not my games, and they've all got middling reviews, you know? I like Jusant, but Banishers didn't do anything for me. Aphelion didn't do anything for me. We never did a video for it. That Harmony game didn't do anything for me. Bloom and Rage, I just, like, they're doing something else that is not my... Actually, I don't think Bloom and Rage was them. I think that was the...
No, I think it was them.
Was it? Okay.
It doesn't matter. None of those. The reinvestment into Life is Strange was the mistake. Like, it was a good game. You know what? I would even say the sequel, which is, like, not connected to the first game at all, is even better. But that's a game about little Mexican boys, so no one's ever going to play that, unfortunately.
I think it's Telltale syndrome, where they just kind of kept making the same type of game over and over again, and then they kept seeing the profits creep down a little bit at a time.
Now that's what they want.
Yep. And they just didn't. They couldn't figure out any way to get around that, and so Nagoshi Studios has lost the head of what the hell is the name of the game that they're making?
Better Than Heaven?
Something. No. This is the other one. Gang of Dragon. This is the RGG people who started their own studio called Nagoshi Studios. They had a trailer at the Game Awards last year. They are also failing quickly. The NetEase pulled all the funding from them. Now the director of the game has now updated his resume to be ex-Nagoshi Studios. This thing is just a month away from being announced that it's completely dead, which is a shame because the trailer for it looked like somebody trying to make their own kind of Yakuza style game, and yeah, I appreciate that. So,
yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
We got the interview. Speaking of Stranger Than Heaven, we got the interview about why is Tupac Shakur in Stranger Than Heaven. Bryce, do you have big feelings about this? Because be honest with you, people, if you've been listening to this podcast long enough, you could probably just make up the response that they had of just like, well, we thought it would be interesting to see what would happen. We've got Snoop Dogg in the game, and we thought this was an interesting character. And we were we talked to the estate. They were like, yes, put him in there. And we wanted to imagine what it would be like 30 years later. And it's not just a stunt. It's because, he was close to them and blah, 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 blah. And the game is about music. You could just kind of make it up. I, for one, am so completely caught off guard by this that I don't really have any feelings one way or the other, because I'm like, I don't know what the fuck to think about this. Like,
I think it's interesting. They're being very forward that like they're working with both the family and the estate, which is not controlled by the family, I understand.
Yep. Yep.
And the idea of like, yeah, that's not who he was when he died, but what if he was like a more adult Tupac, and Tupac and Snoop have a history, so does that history overlay onto any of the themes and structures of the game? That's about what you could ask for, right? Because otherwise, we don't really have a good answer other than this.
Yes.
I'm not like a Tupac head. I just see this. Also, I agree as an outsider that this looks fucking strange. I don't understand 100% of this.
Neither do I. Okay. more easier news here. Remember when Dispatch launched on the Switch, you couldn't see any nudity? They have added in a DLC called the HR Violations Pack with 3 different options. One is to see, you can get boobs, butts, and obscene gestures, but you can't get full frontal from anybody. Yes, no genitals allowed. And also apparently there's one part where a character is whacking off in bed and they mute that because you can't listen to heavy breathing or something. But this also has been released for other platforms. You got the option of the black bar or pixelation, which is, I would have rather had pixelation than the huge black bars. Or there's like a comedy option.
This is like a donut. They put a cream-filled donut over this character's butthole.
Yep, or they just like superimpose a JPEG of jorts over one of the characters. It's kind of cute. It's okay. Right. But yeah,
it's such a weird Nintendo thing. Nintendo like keeps bumping into this, and I think because Dispatch like already had its heat, and this is like a new port, that it's not a big deal. But there's gonna be one of the. It's not just. It's gonna one of these days they're gonna do it to something other than Hyper Neptunia, and a real number of people will get upset.
Yes. And then last but not least, let's wrap it up with an announcement that came out right before we started. This is the day before we started recording this, but the GTA 6 pre-orders are starting on June 25th, and we've got the official cover art for the game, which, given the lack of anything that we've gotten for this game is kind of a thing. There was a thing I didn't know. Do you know this, Bryce, that apparently every cover of every Grand Theft Auto game in the upper left-hand corner, there's a helicopter? Like if you go back and look at all of them, they all have a helicopter in the upper left-hand corner. I was like, I never fucking knew that before, but apparently that's a thing where every Grand Theft Auto cover art has a helicopter in the upper left-hand corner.
Whoa! Well, and like the top right usually has like a motorcycle. Oh, this is fascinating.
So
this is a company that knows how to make, that has a process to make a big game. At least, okay.
Yep, I like the alligator in the middle too. So yeah, this means that, hopefully this means no more delays and that we're going to get another fucking trailer at some point. God damn it. I want to see more of this game. I know. They got me right where they want me, and I'm fucking just put the fish hook in my mouth. So, all right, with that, we're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we got more trailers. Stick around. And it's time for trailers after I tell you all about something cool that happened last week.
Yeah.
So stuck in the Nintendo Summer Game Fest announcement was the announcement that Dragon's Dogma 2 is getting a big DLC, Dark Arisen. But that's coming out in October, but they did a bunch of updates, quality of life updates just recently. So if you have been holding off on playing Dragon's Dogma 2, one of the things they did was they added in, so a little context, previously in Dragon's Dogma 2, you had to buy one-use quick travel items. So
you had to find them
or find them or earn them. Yes, and there were a limited number of places where you could quick travel to. The game was very much built around the idea of trekking across, the wilderness or taking ox carts or whatever. It was made so that it wasn't easy to just blip 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 all over the map. They have now given you an item that lets you just do that infinitely. They've also added fast travel spots to more places. They've also I think that there's a couple of the placeable crystals that are a little bit easier to get now. They've also done some bug fixes and some performance upgrades. It's kind of weird that this is like a few years after the game came out. And then they're also pulling all of the microtransactions that were kind of they were a little seen as distasteful.
You could buy the fast travel stuff.
You could buy a lot of stuff. Yeah, you could it was just we've seen games do this in the past. There was just so much of it, and the thing is that the game was made to inconvenience you. That is part of the game, was the idea of you trekking around doing stuff. Now, whether you like that or not, the idea of making a game inconvenient and then selling you the solution. The first Dragon's Dogma was like that, so it's not like they just came up with this right now.
Don't get me started on how Dragon's Dogma 2 is a lot like Dragon's Dogma 1, brother.
Sounds like, did you play Dragon's Dogma 2?
I did. I beat Dragon's Dogma 2.
Okay.
I was very confused by Dragon's Dogma 2 because when I finished it, it made it seem like I finished Dragon's Dogma 1.
Right.
It's actually fucking fascinating that you open Dragon's Dogma 2, and for the entirety of the time that you play it, the title screen just says Dragon's Dogma until you beat the fucking game, and then it says Dragon's Dogma 2.
It's an interesting game with a lot of weirdness, and
the story's the exact... I didn't know the story was the exact fucking same. I knew it was like similar. It's the fucking same thing, man. You see that like this DLC, this is the name of the DLC from the first Dragon's Dogma. It was also called Dark Arisen.
Yep. It's
a fascinating franchise.
Crazy, weird, meta bullshit. I am there for it. Dragon's Dogma is my near, man. I'm all over this game with the number of stupid things that you could do and the dumb AI pawns. But the game runs better now. I've been playing through it to make a new character for the DLC, and it runs better. It's a little bit smoother. It is nice to be able to just like between places.
Because a lot of that got because the ox cart thing that they talk about, the equivalent of like taking a taxi cab in GTA for no reason.
Yep.
The ox carts are really precarious. And so you get on it, and when you get on it, you can choose to then you can kind of skip time. But in the off chance, by which I mean 90% of the time, along that way, if it rolls the dice wrong and it gets countered by monsters, your character wakes up in the middle of the night. All your other characters wake up in the middle of the night on this cart, and then you have to fight these fucking monsters, and then they will assuredly break the cart, and now you're stuck in between a place that you are now far away from and a place that you have never been to for some reason.
They did also, one of the other things they added was, because you can get jumped when you camp as well, and they added a new pawn specialty, which is like, don't get jumped while you're in camp, so you could camp without. I didn't find that to be as much of a problem, but because, well, normally it's like if you don't kind of clear out all the monsters around you when you go to sleep, you can get woken up in the middle of the night and it interrupts and you've got to fight them and stuff. But now, and then technically they can destroy your camp, which then destroys the kit, which means you got to go get another kit. Anyway, Dragon's Dogma 2, I think it's great, but you got to be willing to put up with some bullshit. It is a weird fucking game.
Is there a slider to turn down how much the pawns talk? Because they're making an option so you can turn off the high-fiving, and that's so crazy because the high-fiving is the absolute best part of that game.
Actually, the updates coming in October is going to make it so that the little pawn, the D-pad instructions for the pawns, if you hold down the D-pads, it'll prompt just for a high five out of nowhere, where you can just do a high five whenever you want. Because there is nothing worse than when you beat a griffin and it plays that music and you go to high five, but then you accidentally do the little like elbow bump instead because you turned the wrong way. You're like, no, I wanted the high five. It's so cool when you do the high five. There is actually an option though that they added to turn down when you're walking around the world, where the pawns will just walk up to you and be like, hi, I'm an incredibly resourceful pawn that loves to heal. Do you want me to follow you around? I'm like, bitch, no, I got my guys. They're with me right now. And you can turn that way down so you don't have to do it. Anyway, enough about Dragon's Dogma 2. Let's get into these trailers. We're going to start with new Overwatch character called Xion. I keep covering Overwatch. I like the art style and I like the world of Overwatch. I don't really want to play it. Unless like Marathon, they put out like a single player. They said they were going to, then they said they weren't going to.
Blizzard game development style.
But this year with their big thing, they've been putting out a bunch of new characters. This one is a new assault character that's like a robot Yakuza lady named Xion, who's like a gang leader in their kind of cyber Tokyo future. And she's interesting because she's just got a fucking Akira motorcycle. And when you look at like her moveset, and they put a little animated thing with her that's great. She's just got 2 pistols and she's got the anime motorcycle. But one of her moves in the game is to jump on the anime motorcycle and drive it. And then you can literally launch off of it and throw it at people as like a big bomb that you could do, which is pretty fun.
Okay,
Yeah. And she's an Omnic. So when she talks, her lips don't move, which is kind of fun. So her face is kind of just like frozen in place. And then she's got these kind of like John Wick, like two guns crossing in front of you to do an X shot at people, and all kinds of little stylish Yakuza looking stuff. And I'd love to. She also got a cool thing with her like cyber hair, where it's got like a big dragon, like a dragon of Dojima print on the back of the big cyber hair that she's got. That's cool looking. She's got little cyber Oni horns and stuff. I like it. I like this character design a lot, even if it doesn't make me want to actually play the game that it's attached to.
Shame about the game. This story's interesting. Shame about the interactive part.
Yep. Yeah, see? She got the little thing on the back of her hairdo.
That looks cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's neat.
Yeah.
That's neat. I hope that the Overwatch players enjoy it.
I feel like I want to call this marathon syndrome, even though Overwatch did it first, where like I like watching their lore and the art, but I have no interest in actually playing the game at all. And it pisses me off because I really wish that I wanted to play the game, but I don't want to play that game. So
yeah.
Yep. Anyway, that's also coming. Season 3 of Overwatch is going to have the same. They've got the skins and everything. They've got they kind of got 3 different sections. One of them is a bunch of cat cafe things, and they've got kind of one of the sets is kind of the Japanese like gang, like kind of Yakuza stuff. Like Junker Queen has the wrap with the kind of the big pants and stuff, and
okay.
They're pretty cool looking little skins, which is good. I mean, it's nice to see that Overwatch isn't completely fallen on its face and it's got some stuff for everybody, but not for me.
Neat. Is that World of Warcraft skins there? Is that what that's supposed to be?
These are just like generic mage skins for a bunch of the characters that make them look very much like World of Warcraft characters, but not specifically World of Warcraft characters.
Okay.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yep.
All right. Overwatch.
We also got, speaking of marathon syndrome, I like these. They made these little cinematics for each one of the different shells that you could play in Marathon, and they made one for the Vandal shell, which was one of the ones that was shown in like their big cinematic with the little spiky hairdo, and it's mostly about this character fighting against the USC or UEMC robot guys. She is a very momentum based character, so of course they've got a lot of like parkour and running and shooting and stuff, which is all very cool.
She looks the exact same as the character from the last video. She looks exactly the same character design.
Yeah. I've stared at it enough that I know the differences now. But I would.
That's not hair, Bryce. Those are her vestigial arms on the back of her.
Right. Oh, you're talking about Shion.
Yes.
I thought you meant the last marathon video. No. Okay. Yeah. No. I get. Yep. She got a white themed robot lady jumping around doing all kinds of crazy stuff. I get it. I got it. Yep. 100%. But whoever's doing the art over at Bungie, I love this shit. I like watching these whenever they come out.
You know what I will be looking forward to, and unfortunately the game developers have not figured out a way to turn this into a product I can consume. I will enjoy watching like the 1.5-hour video essay on what the story is in Marathon.
Yeah, where they stitch together like cut scenes and some gameplay with no HUDs on and some of these things. Love
where
it.
they tell a fucking story like it's their fucking job.
Dude, let Amazon make Secret Level Season 2 is all marathon. Just make a 14 episode miniseries, 25 episodes a pop of Love, Death, and Robots produced marathon shorts. I would watch that. I would watch the crap out of that.
Something like the what's so like Blizzard and Bungie, we have a 1-2 punch here of stories here where like they are good at making like interesting characters, making interesting spaces and lore, and they are explicitly in fields of gaming that are not good at using any of that lore for the game at all.
Yep. And Marathon
so crazy.
Marathon tries so fucking hard. Like every one of the factions has an introduction that factors into the storyline. They've got cutscenes, they've got logs. It's all right there. It's just all attached to a game that's not very fun for me to play. So anyway. Speaking of virtual worlds, sort of. Echoes of Aincrad got a demo trailer. So for anybody who doesn't know, Echoes of Aincrad was announced a little while back. This is a Sword Art Online RPG that is being made. So the Sword Art Online anime where everybody's in the fucking VR world.
Back in my day, we called it .hack sign.
It's pretty much the same. I don't know. I keep looking at Sword Art Online and going like, nah, I just don't fucking care as much about that. But I'd actually be more interested in it.
What if it was the West Wing? Because then it would be .hack sign.
Actually, I was reading a description of Sword Art Online. It was like, oh yeah, the beginning is very action focused, and there's just mostly world building in the second half. And I was like, oh, I don't want that. I want the first part. So, but you know what? It's great. They've got their whole menu system interface game system is all just handed to them on a silver fucking platter, and all they've got to do is put together a bunch of stuff where you can make your own character in the Sword Art Online universe and go on the missions. And now there's a demo out. You could totally play it. But also the game itself is coming out like July 10th. So it's like in a couple of weeks. Like it's right around the corner. Yeah. Okay. So
now this is not an SAO actually licensed franchise product. This is just we're just talking about it being the exact same story. Like you get trapped in this game.
No, see what it says under Echoes of Aincrad. It says Sword Art Online. This isn't officially. This is a specifically Sword Art Online. It's not a parallel. The only reason I was talking about it is because
it's crazy because they don't put it in either of the two paragraphs in the YouTube description.
They really don't. And the thing is that when they announced it, they just announced Echoes of Aincrad, a new RPG where you could do stuff. They didn't say Sword Art Online. And then I went and looked it up, and I was like, oh, this is Sword Art Online. Why isn't it called Sword Art Online : Echoes of Aincrad? Why is Echoes of Aincrad first on the billing?
How many bad Sword Art Online games did they make that they figured out putting the word Sword Art Online is gonna make it go bad?
I don't know. Probably too many.
Hollow Fragment, Lost Song, Hollow Realization, Fatal Bullet, Alicization, Licorice.
I don't know what any of that means.
Those are the name. Those are the subtitles of Sword Art Online video games.
No, I got you. Well, speaking of things that you probably don't know the name of, there's a new Atelier game, Atelier Korea, The Night Kingdom and the Guide of Memories. Okay. I know about this only because I actually kind of liked the last game, even though I didn't really play it. I started playing it a few times, but then I didn't stay with it. This one's tied into that game, Atelier Yumiya, I believe. which I remember because the developer was like, yeah, she's got big, thick thighs because when people are suffering financially, they want to see a lady with plump thighs. And I was like, what? Okay.
Recession indicator. All right.
Anyway, these are interesting games because there's a lot of crafting and alchemy in them. So it's like, what if a kind of an action JRPG also had like a full survival crafting system and upgrade system that was based on you picking up crap in the land and synthesizing stuff and building your base up and stuff. So it's a little different, kind of interesting. But yeah, first trailer. And they're also, it's so easy to make one of these anime ass video games these days. I feel like it's just, you go back to the Unreal thing where it's just like you just pick the presets for anime ass video game and it just does it.
This looks neat. I am not like super clued into the Atelier franchise, but I feel like that is a franchise that's in the same space as like the Tales game.
Tales,
like the Tales games.
Tales or Rise or what? No, what's the other one? There's Tales, and then there's
Tales of Arise.
There's the Tales franchise, and then there's the other one. The other.
Like another action RPG from fucking Namco Bandai.
There's another franchise where there's like 18 of them, and I haven't played any of them. I'm sure it'll come to me at a certain point, but
But at least like that's a sign of like the stability of a franchise of being able to like make enough of these games that like people stick around with, and not just like necessarily fart out.
Trails.
Yes,
Trails is the other one. There's Tales and there's Trails, and you don't want to get the two of them confused. We also got another trailer. I was happy to see this for Stupid Never Dies. I've been really interested in this game just because it looks so Suda51 that it hurts. It's all of humanity is dead, and you're playing as a zombie guy that wants to bring this girl that he likes back to life. And so you and the monsters are going through a roguelike where it's all third-person action with a time limit. You're doing crazy fucking upgrades. It's all super hypercolor. There's a crazy manic soundtrack.
I remember the trailer for this.
Yeah.
This looks stupid.
Yeah.
This looks really dumb. No offense. This looks really weird.
Oh, you mean in like a bad way?
Yeah.
I think it looks dumb in a good way
at all. Like,
yeah.
As because you're like, you play as like the zombie boyfriend thing. This just, I don't know. Maybe I would need to play it, but this mishmash style of like aesthetic looks not the right mix. They didn't blend this right.
Okay.
I don't know. Do you like? Are you into this? I'm not degrading people who are into this.
I'm into this because it looks Suda51 as shit, like weird, and experimental, and crazy, and like I don't know, one of those things where like I don't think this is going to be anybody's game of the year, but it looks like it could be just weird enough to be fun, depending on how the story and the gameplay. Like they kind of showed a little piece in here where they're showing. Equipping all these different weird cyber parts for different stuff. And I know that it's a roguelike where you've got a certain time limit. You're trying to kind of get through it. And the thing is that it seems like they put some effort into this, whether you think that the art style worked or not. I think there's definitely some effort on display here. And I like the weird creepy dissonance that it has, but that's just my Suda51 proclivity showing.
And I think I like more when Suda51 is trying to be cool and brooding.
Uh-huh.
I think that's the flavor that I like. I'm the like the killer is dead guy.
More Killer 7 and less Lollipop Chainsaw.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
The sun and the moon and the rain hotel.
All right. Well, next up we've got this is interesting. A Vampire the Masquerade game.
Another fucking one.
Another one. This one's basically a visual novel. I just kind of putting that out there because the one that they announced at Summer Games Fest was a Disco Elysium style game, and I kind of think that sounds more interesting than just a straight up visual novel. But this is narrative driven and takes place in Berlin. There's specific kind of like faction stuff and going through this preset story. I left this one in here because it seemed like somebody would be interested in this. I know that there's some people that are still on board that. It's kind of like the 40K games where it's like you just roll the dice and they could be good or they could be crap and you never know for sure.
And also like a franchise that is that understands the the place for small budget games.
Yes. In other horror news, there was a big Dead by Daylight thing where they kind of did their roadmap, but the big two here were that they confirmed that Art the Clown is going to be a new killer in November, which just makes so much sense that it's ridiculous. And then that Jason Voorhees is in the game now. So that had been teased before, but they put out a trailer showing Jason in the game at this point, which both of those being, very, very on brand for Dead by Daylight of slow walking, stalking violent murderers that pick people up and put them on meat hooks. So
I did not know about this Terrifier series that Art the Clown is iconically from, apparently.
Oh, I know that you're not big into horror. Do not watch Terrifier. Terrifier's claim to fame is that it is more violent and gory than just about anything else. There is a scene in the first movie where Art the Clown hangs a person upside down and then takes a hacksaw to where their genitals are and saws through them from that point all the way to their face in real time as they scream the entire time. That will tell you the level of violence that is in the Terrifier things.
That actually made me sad. That actually caused psychic damage to me.
Okay,
well, describing that.
Good. Stay away from Terrifier, Bryce.
I'm closing my tabs.
It's only for the sickos like us. Okay, it's not for you. Not for you. Let's see. We also got another Hellraiser revival, both a trailer and a release date. I like the fact that, the Hellraiser franchise, Hellraiser revival trailers are so gory and have so much nudity and stuff in them that they have to post them on their own website. Well, they put a censored version on YouTube, but on their own website they have the one that has the genitalia and all of the incredibly brutal stuff going on. I will skip through this.
This is like good concept. Okay, now some of this looks like gameplay, some of this looks like concept or like a cutscene stuff, but
most of this is gameplay. Most of this is gameplay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. This game, I've been following this because they seem like they understand the assignment and the fact that they can't put an uncensored trailer for this game on YouTube. You play as a guy whose lover has been taken by the Cenobites, and you are now forced to do their bidding on Earth with the Lament configuration as your BioShock kind of power thing, along with guns and knives and gore and stuff like that. So and it's coming out on October 8th, and everything I've seen from it looks fucking cool, and I like it when they understand the Hellraiser assignment, because sometimes they don't. So
yeah, this is, I would love to see what this is. This looks cool.
Yep. So yeah, there's also, we got an announcement, this is so weird, for a Creepshow game.
I was thinking Peep Show. Okay. What is this?
So August of this year, we're going to be seeing this Creepshow game. Did you ever watch, probably not the movie Creepshow from the mid 80s? So it's based on the old those old comics, the old, forget what they were called, like the EC comics, like back in the day. They had the Crypt Keeper on the front, and they were real cheap, and they had a bunch of kind of gory stuff. They made a movie adaptation that has a lot of the iconography that you're seeing in this trailer, of these kind of weird looking vignettes with bright primary colors and weird lines and lights and stuff like that. So they're trying to kind of make that into a 2D, looks like kind of not an action game, but kind of an adventure game that has a lot of that same iconography in it, which is interesting, kind of flashing back to that. Did you ever play the What Remains of Edith Finch?
A handful of minutes of it.
Okay. There was a horror section in there that was all kind of based on the same thing, where it's this very bright 5-color, old school comic thing. So
Creepshow, George A. Romero, written by Stephen King.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. Don't watch it. Well, I don't know. You can watch the
this
first
trailer is
few.
not making me want to watch it.
The first few are pretty tame, but the last one with the bugs is probably not something. That's the one that sticks with everybody. So, but if you want to watch Leslie Nielsen kill Ted Danson so that he could get with his girlfriend, that's one way.
I didn't know I could want that, but now I do want that.
I put this one in just for you. We got the release date for Broken Lore Don't Lie.
These fucking no.
The fourth Broken Lore game that came
How
out.
are they turning these games out so fucking fast?
I have no idea, but this one seems like it's more of a sequel to the one that I wanted, that I did like, except that I keep seeing iconography in this trailer from the games that I did like. And then I went online and looked it up, and apparently these are individual games, but they are all somewhat connected in some kind of universe. And it's just like, okay, I just don't know. I'm with you. I think this is like the third game this year from the Broken Lore series, because you and I played the Don't Lie in like January or February, and then just last week there was Don't Tell or something, and then anyway,
this one's Don't Lie.
This one's Don't Lie. This is coming out in September. This is the third one this year that is coming out. I really don't understand how Serafini Productions keeps putting these out, and if they're making any fucking money whatsoever. Yeah. But
Broken Lore Unfollow, Broken Lore Low, Broken Lore Don't Watch, Broken Lore Follow.
Yeah.
Is there follow and unfollow?
Unfollow.
Fuck you.
Follow and unfollow. Yes.
Broken Lore Ascend. Oh, tell me there's a Broken Lore Descend.
No.
Okay.
Broken Lore Ascend is about two free climbers trying to climb a big tower while a murder spirit tries to follow them. Anyway, I played one of these one time and it was okay, and now I feel like I'm down the weird rabbit hole of like, are any of the rest of these okay? Because the last one I tried to play, I literally stopped and had to refund it because I couldn't figure out how to get out of the first room, and the game wouldn't tell me. So, but it's coming out September 10th, and there's a demo if you want to try it. Let's see. Shifting gears a little bit to something more fun. We got a behind the scenes interview with Alex Brightman for There Are No Ghosts of the Grand. I've been very much about this game. I don't know, Bryce, you've got a quizzical look on your face. Do you know There Are No Ghosts of the Grand?
No, I don't. This is my first time seeing this.
Okay. This is a game where you play as an American who goes to Britain, and you're taking over an abandoned hotel called the Grand, and you have a power wash simulator style like thing to clean up, repaint, and reorganize rooms in the Grand. Okay, so that's the first part.
There's a murder mystery under all of this.
There is a murder mystery. There are monsters at night that come out that you have to use the power wash simulator thing to fight. And also, it is a musical. It is a ska musical where the characters literally turn to you and sing songs about what they're feeling in their life.
Did you say it's a ska musical?
Yep, a lot. Well, I saw one ska song. I've seen an example of one reggaeton song. There's a second ska song that had like a single that they put out, and characters in the game bust into song, and you get to choose how you want to respond to them.
Wow.
There are no ghosts of the Grand. And then in this interview, this guy is telling me, it's like he keeps layering stuff on top, that the character that you're playing is an unreliable narrator to the point where like they might have motivations that you, the player, do not understand as the game goes on. And I'm like, I don't know how that works, but
you know what he gave up the twist. What he did is he gave up the twist. Fucking 30 minutes from the end of the game, you blink your eyes and you go, oh, I was actually in prison the whole time. Whoa.
This is actually a Broken Lore game.
Broken Lore, no ghosts.
But yeah, There Are No Ghosts of the Grand. I'm really excited. There's a demo out for it right now. Okay. It's got very kind of power wash, house flipper vibes, but then suddenly you break into a ska song and then you fight a bunch of fucking spider demons from the nether dimension. And I'm like, okay, yep, sign me up. If that all works, I'm 100% on board. So,
wow. Okay. Yep, I'll keep an eye out.
Coming out later this year, no specific release date yet. So, but there is a demo. We also got, last week, I mentioned this briefly, but I had a little bit more time to go into it, a 30-minute walkthrough for that Fable game that's coming out next year, where they kind of show a little, this is like the old school vertical slice where they just show the person playing the game for a little while. There's not really very much fighting in here. It's mostly just about like interacting with this village and buying a pub and trying to go on a date with a lady and helping out a homeless guy.
They're really pushing that you can be a landlord in this game. Huh?
They really are. Yep. In fact, the lady at the shop wants to date a homeowner, so you have to go buy a house as well as the pub and other stuff too. But you know, they're showing this is less of like The Office cut together trailer, and they're showing like an actual segment, which I don't think we've really seen until now. So
True.
And it's very Fable. In fact, I was very impressed at the fact that like some of the barks that the townspeople have when you're walking by them, they have that weird dissonant out of step thing that you see where it's just like, oh, here comes Mr. Moneybags. You're like, what? I didn't do anything.
Like old school barks.
Yep. They're very specifically calling out like one of the flags in their little vocal inventory, but it doesn't really make a whole shitload of sense.
The champion of the Colosseum arrived.
right. Oh, look who's in town now. And it's like, oh, wait, what did I do to get that? But I kind of like that. It just makes it feel like the janky Fable of old, the small amount that I played of that game. So
I'm just going to leave us with the Taylor character in this demo is named Rhiannon.
Yes.
So that's fun.
Yeah.
Look at that.
But yeah, I don't know. Do you have any interest in this Fable game? Just out of curiosity.
I am interested in it. I played a lot of the first Fable. I think the first Fable is fantastic. I played some of 2 and 3, but I never got into the franchising from good games. Like Fable 1 is good, and I played a lot of that, and then they made another one, and I said, but I played a lot of that already.
Yeah.
Even though obviously it's a different game and all. But so I would like to see what it looks like to make a modern day Fable game, and if it's gonna be like a Fable game or not. Like it looks cool and whimsical and fantastical the way that those games kind of wanted to look, being held back by technology, I think in some cases.
Yeah.
But is it going to be are they going to sand the edges off too much is my question. Like, is it going to, I guess they're not like edgy games, but is the worst thing you can do in this game is be a landlord?
I mean, at the end of the video, the one thing the player does do is fire the bartender at the pub they bought that has a crush on them, and then go out and start murdering town guards in the square. So I don't know. I mean, there's a good question. I have a hard time when games are like, you can be an evil fuck if you want. And I'm like, well, I don't want to be an evil fuck. I want to be a good boy. I want the good boy points. I want the paragon. I don't want to be the renegade.
Well, they're showing us a lot of this village and like the stuff around this village, and so it makes it very weird. Yeah, when he starts attacking these guards and the word plus killer just keeps popping up on screen.
Yep.
Plus killer.
And apparently the guards never stop coming, I think is what they said, which I was a little disappointed by. The idea. It made me think about when I was playing Dragon's Dogma 2 and how you can completely depopulate a city in Dragon's Dogma 2 if you really like go for it. So anyway, it's coming out next year. You guys can go watch that for more details. This is a weird, oh my god, we gotta pick it up. This is a weird one. Last week there was a brief teaser where the Asylum, the horrible movie studio, made a live action Dave the Diver in the Jungle footage that we saw in the trailer for the new game. It turns out they made a whole 10-minute little mini movie with the characters from Dave the Diver, and they all look cheap as shit, and they're like medium grade actors doing cheesy lines, Asylum style, with bad jokes, and it kind of worked for me a little bit. So
I wonder how much something like this works. We talked about this, but how much does this work? Like, this is probably cheap, right? It sounds like they're a cheap studio, but like, does the Venn diagram have any overlap here?
I don't know. It does mean that they've got this whole 10 minutes worth of footage that they could cut together into their trailers, I guess, because they got a guy dressing up like Dave the Diver and all the different Cobra and Boncho and
Gator. That fucking CG Gator looks so.
I mean, this is the studio from like Transmorphers and Sharknado and stuff like that. So
Meth Gator.
But yeah, y'all can go watch that if you want. You got the 10-minute Dave the Diver with a lot of horrible green screen on it. So
I would say
okay,
aesthetically not good looking. I think from the little postage stamp that I'm looking at, they composited the frame pretty okay.
Yes. Let's see.
To be continued. They put it fucking to be continued at the end of that too. Oh my god.
They did.
Oh my god.
All right, we're running out of time. Jurassic World Evolution 3 is getting an expansion for that ties into the stupid movie. I didn't know about this.
They're making another movie?
No, the last one that came out last year. They've got the dumb dinosaurs from that movie are in here, including this one that looks just so much like the fucking Rancor. I didn't watch that movie. I don't know what that thing is, but apparently it's a thing. So
it's crazy that they have been able to make 3 of these dinosaur theme park games and then a bunch of DLC.
Yep, I agree. Planet Crafter is coming to consoles. I really like this game, so I wanted to just note that. It's been on the PC for a little while, went into 1.0.
It hit 1.0, right?
Yep. Yeah. And now they're throwing it onto consoles with multiplayer and all that stuff. So yeah, go check it out. Let's see.
Is it supposed to look like it doesn't have any shadows? No, we'll go.
Yes. Yeah. No. Well, or not. I don't know if it's supposed to, but that's how it looks on the PC as well. It's not like it looks way better on the PC. It is an indie game full of indiness. That's what it is. We got a.
What is this?
We got another trailer for Nekome Nazi Hunter, which is a game that I've been having my eye on. Looks like just a third-person action game where you play as a guy that's just fucking Kill Bill, brutally stabbing Nazis, third-person action and adventure. Yeah. Looks great. I'm all in favor of this. This one's a little bit more cinematic. It's kind of like a little newsreel, but then at the end it kind of goes into a montage of showing the main character. Just they really dialed the blood factor on this one up to fucking 11, and I appreciate that. Also, the hitting people in the face with stuff. I don't know. I like the style to it. It's got a kind of semi-cartoony style, but then all the ultra violence that goes along with it, and it looks like mostly violence for this. I have yet to see a full-on story trailer for what's going on here, but I'm very interested because it looks violent as hell, and that's definitely going to put it on my list.
Yeah. Interesting time for like Nazis in video games. I just played that Ratline game a month or so ago.
Oh, yeah.
And it is best described as the root trees are dead, but you're hunting Nazis.
Right. Right. I just wanted to point this out mostly because there was a demo. We got a new class. This is a class trailer for a game called Mistfall Hunter.
What?
So, okay, the demo for this is out on Steam. I wanted to point this out because I think that some people might have an interest in this. This is what if Dark Souls was an extraction shooter. So instead of
fucking God.
I know. Not for you, not for me, but for somebody out there. Like instead of a shooter, you're going around picking up the resources in a Souls-like third-person action game. It looks like it's done in Unreal Engine 5. The art style looks nice. I tried playing a little bit of it, the demo, and I was like, okay, I see what you're going for here. It's not my cup of tea, but it is out there. So if you're into that, if that idea sounds interesting to you, go check out the demo.
The exact way I groaned.
Yes.
Take a look at Mistfall Hunter.
Yes, Mistfall Hunter. Bistro got a launch trailer, and I wanted to point that out because I think the Bistro was really fun. Yeah, little by day you cook food for whimsical furry characters, and then there's a little puppet show that comes on where you play a simple turn-based card action game showing what the people who you have fed have done when they go out into the wilderness.
Okay.
And it's very cute. It's on Game Pass right now. There's a bunch of little adorable weirdos and little monsters and stuff.
Puppet scenes look really good.
Yep.
Those are like really well made. Okay.
On the little stick where they're very simple, but they're like a little shadow puppet theater almost. And then the little things at the bottom are your cards that you play. And they've got like you feed them specific flavors, and then they use those flavors to counteract the other flavors in combat. They literally have like a color wheel of sweet and sour and spicy and umami, and you've got to counter their umami with your savory or whatever.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I liked what I played of it. The only thing about it is it doesn't have any voice acting, so it's all text. But
that's fine.
Yeah.
No, that's fine. Because bad voice acting takes away.
Yep, I agree. And then the last couple here, we got a game called Offbeat. I thought that you would be interested in this. I didn't know if you'd ever seen this before. This is a game. It's kind of a pixel art game, but it's basically one of those little music synthesizer things. But your goal in the game is to make tracks, and they give you kind of a basic I don't know what you call this, a basic
It's like a sequencer.
Yeah, to make tracks. And then you can, as you do that, then you buy more equipment. You buy keyboards and pedals and little sound effects things that you can put in. But the big thing about this is that at the end of every one of these, you actually just like fully export that track into an actual MP3 that you can then post or share or do anything with. And it seems pretty consistent, and it seems like it's got quite a bit of flexibility as to all the things that you can do.
How do you get rated? There's like, you do, they said it seems like, you take jobs and that's why you can make this. How do they rate it?
I don't know, but it's probably like, what was that content warning where there's very specific metrics that the game is looking for. And if you just kind of do anything in those metrics, then you get rated well.
And it does seem like the actual modular instrument part of this is there. Like there's a part where you like, it's all like very desk based, but like you have different devices and they've got cables going back and forth between them. And okay.
Yeah, it seems like just kind of gamifying like a GarageBand almost into if GarageBand was unpacking and it had like objectives.
And then also like to do this at this point in time where like AI music is specifically something that is like worming its way into people's like a content radar. Having a game where you like manually make music for a reason. Like there are other games out there that are sequencers, and what was that? Fracked OSC, which is like kind of a puzzle game with some music making things.
Right.
But this is fascinating.
Yep, and there's a demo for it on Steam. So once we get out here, you could go check it out.
Check that out.
That's called Offbeat. Check it out, everybody. All right, quick announcements to wrap it up. Xbox Game Pass Wave 2 in 2026. We're getting Call of Duty Vanguard, EA Sports FC, Abyssus, RV there yet, and Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4. Pretty sure only the last two of Wings of Arcana Ruination. I'm pretty sure the last two of those. I guess Abyssus was a bit of a thing when it came out on PC earlier this year. Kind of a multiplayer under the water action game, but more action and less friend slop. RV there yet is really fun. I played that with Jason, and Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4 is good as well.
Cool.
Also get PlayStation Plus extra games for June. Final Fantasy 16 and Kingdom Come Deliverance, Life is Strange Double Exposure, if you want to get that in. Farming Simulator 25, Blades of Fire, which I really encourage people to go check out. That's the game from Mercury Steam, the guys that did like the Metroid Dread and like the Metroid 2 remake. And it's a blacksmithing game with the Dark Souls on top of it, where you have to smith your own weapons, and the better you smith them, the more damage they do, but then they break all the time, but you can constantly just go back into the smithing forge and make new weapons, and it's got this very weird world. And they just did a kind of an update to it to make it a little bit easier to play. But
okay.
Yep.
Huh.
Also Black Desert and Sonic X Shadow Generations, and Guitaru Man for the PS2.
But so you gotta pay premium.
Yeah.
But you gotta pay for premium.
Spider-Man 2 is getting the suit from the new Spider-Man Brand New Day. We got the trailer for that. There's another one that shows this is like the first time they've had a kind of a more plain looking movie costume. So my friend Michael will be excited about that. Black Ops 1 and 2 are apparently getting ported over to the current gen PlayStations. They're currently only available as like PS3 games, so you can't really play them. So now they're going to be on PS4, PS5, almost certainly.
Iron Galaxy. You know what? Iron Galaxy makes good ports.
They do.
Ports will be good.
Final Fantasy Tactics got the Avalis Chronicles got an update that adds New Game Plus to the game, which is kind of interesting, as well as a Zodiac compatibility function, which I don't really understand. I played that game and I didn't really understand what was going on with that particular part of the game. So
it sounds like there's a cheat sheet to explain that now. So that's my understanding.
An esoteric system that you used to have to look up on the internet in order to get the black chocobo, and now they just tell you how to do it in the game. Valor Mortis, the first-person Napoleonic Souls action game, got moved from September to October because now that they've announced everything from Summer Games Fest, September is so goddamn crowded that you want to get out of September, but you can't go to November because that's where Grand Theft Auto 6 is. So they're moving from September 13th to October 13th.
Okay.
Yep.
Good luck.
The Drifter is coming to Switch and Switch 2.
Stephen King's The Drifter?
Now, there's a point-and-click game from this Australian studio that got like rave fucking reviews last year that I haven't played yet because usually adventure games don't they're hard to do videos on because there's so much paying attention to the dialogue. But this is like a guy stuck in a time loop, and it's this very kind of retro point and click pixel adventure thing. But overwhelmingly positive reviews came out last year in July. I'm thinking I don't know, I might try to use that as an excuse to do a video on this at some point.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a weird thing because like this game's been out since a year ago, and I've never even heard of it.
Yep.
The Drifter.
I've also had my eye on this weird game, Scarlet Deer Inn. This is a very strange game. It's a side-scrolling game where you play as a young woman in kind of a medieval fantasy setting or a medieval setting. The whole thing with this is the backgrounds are normal 2D art, but the character sprites are all hand-stitched scans of not hand stitch of machine stitched like little things they've got
they're sewn.
Yes.
It's sewing.
Yes.
Okay.
So they printed out all the frames of animation and they put them into this auto sewer. I watched a thing on this that literally sewed each one of the frames of animation, and they took pictures of that physical thread and then put it into the game as a sprite. I don't know if the end result is so unique that it's worth all the time and effort, but they seem to think so.
Okay. I think it is an effect that is only visible when you are like pausing or going frame by frame, because otherwise it just looks like these have
a horizontal filter. Yeah.
I mean, it's a really interesting way to add texture into a game, but it feels a little more superfluous than like the design decisions as a part of like Cuphead or something. Like the sheep, you get the little sheep and the sheep in their fur kind of, you can see the texture. The dialogue boxes also look like, needlepoint. I don't know.
I've also heard nothing but good stuff about the demo they put out.
Okay.
But it's coming out July 17th. Which we didn't have a date for before. So
I guess this is like a surefire way to make sure your game could have like merchandise opportunities.
Yeah, I guess if you've got the auto sewer in there, you could just sell them for $20 plus shipping. Last week we got the news that the Player Unknown's survival game that they were making called Prologue, or it's called Go Way Back, and they put out this kind of demo for it called Prologue: Go Way Back, that they were shutting down development for it because they ran out of money. They're still working on the engine behind it, which is supposed to be able to render an entire, like a large scale world as opposed to just the kind of compacted game worlds that we see. This is a game where apparently I saw this written, starting a fire is a monumental achievement, so you don't die from the elements. It is primarily a survival game about kind of hiking and surviving the elements. It is now free. Anybody can go grab it and download it on Steam, and they're also offering basically unlimited refunds to anybody that wants a refund for it because development got shut down. It was in early access, or they were taking early access money for it, I think. And so, yeah. But I don't know.
The game engine Melba, which the studio is developing to generate Earth-scale procedural worlds.
Yep.
Like, to what end? Like, why? They didn't even do that with No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky is an algorithm. Why? To what end? To what end?
I don't know. I mean, at least with that the No Man's Sky's next game, it's generating an entire Earth-sized world, but to a purpose, to then populate that one world with all their No Man's Sky stuff, but instead of multiple planets, it's all in one big planet that people can play on. But anyway, if you want to check it out, it's free. They're still working on that technology, which I'm sure somebody can find a use for, but it just didn't sound like, it never sounded like the sort of game that I was all that interested in, about like, can you not freeze to death? And I'm like, yeah, I can.
So, yeah.
I do that all the time in real life. Fuck you.
Now I'm trying to imagine like playing Battlegrounds on an Earth-sized map for some reason. You'd have to take a plane to go get into the circle.
You'd have to have billions of players in order for anybody to ever run into anybody else to battle.
That's what they said about No Man's Sky, too. That's what they said about No Man's Sky, and those motherfuckers found each other.
That's true. That's true. All right, and then let's wrap it up with a few fun things. Sega's made a dumb... Okay, they made this big Sonic the Hedgehog statue that they're putting out, where he's got a Chaos Emerald inside of him, and inside of that is, quote-unquote, Sonic the Hedgehog's DNA. Yeah, this is... technically, I think this is like a bunch of the source code and a few other things, but this is being made by this company called Transseeds, that technically one of their other projects was a quote-unquote recreation of the T virus, which was not an actual virus, but was still a thing. Anyway, I'm not entirely sure what the point of this is, but it's going to be in the Sega store in Tokyo if you want to go look at it. Maybe one of you people can go to the Sega store in Tokyo and explain to me what the fuck is inside the Chaos Emerald in the giant life-sized see-through Sonic statue.
Wait, it's life size?
Or it's I think it's big. It's big. Pretty sure it's big. It's not like a little thing.
Yeah, I need a quarter for scale. Okay. Yeah. The thing is, do you know luck is being prepared when opportunity arises. And by making your thing a see-through Sonic the Hedgehog with a gem inside of it that you say is Sonic's quote-unquote DNA.
Yes.
There's not a good ending to that. Like, it either becomes really popular, in which case you wanted to get popular with this, or it doesn't become popular. Because fucking look at it.
Well, so there's a third option there, which is that this Transseeds describes itself as, quote, a science collective composed of artists, engineers, scientists, and other members. And when you have an organization like this that needs to eat, there is nothing better than getting a job from some corporation that will pay you 3 times as much as you would get from anything else, and not bat an eye at what you deliver to them, because they don't have any idea what the fuck they're buying in the first place. So, but as far as what's supposed to be in there, the quotes here are the Sonic BIOS, Emerald Vision, Boost System, and Velocity Cells. I don't know what the fuck that is, but sure. Sure. I didn't pay for it.
this Transseed, I'm looking at the Transseeds website a little. They almost seem like that Mischief collection. Like, they're artists doing aesthetic things, and here they're doing it for businesses.
Yeah.
So they did that T virus thing, and it made some headlines, and people spent money.
Yeah. It's like when some clothes company I've never heard of makes Chris's jacket from Resident Evil 7 for $6,000, and it's like this bespoke brand that I've never heard of in my life.
And no, you're thinking of Death Stranding, because they did that for Death Stranding, and those clothes were fucking fire, and you couldn't get them.
This is kind of a PSA. Mina the Hollower has a secret ending. If you want to get it, okay, I don't want to spoil, because about 2/3 of the way through the game, there is a point where basically you are given a checklist of things that you have to not do, and it is an insane amount of things that you have to not do in order to get the secret ending. And I won't say more than that, but I will say that, like, it's unless you're the biggest fan in the world of Mina the Hollower, it's easier to look this shit up online if you actually want to do the things.
What the fuck?
Yeah, no, it's like, if you play through the game, you know the scene I'm talking about, where there's a big list of stuff that you have done in the game that you have to not do.
Fuck?
No, yeah, and it's redonkulous. ridiculous. Like
these are not just plot. These aren't things
Oh,
you
no.
have to do.
Yep.
Jesus.
Like you have to not break any of the candles in the game.
Yeah.
Like that's horrible.
And that's just the start.
And that's
Oh my
just the
God.
start. So
How do you even not?
if you want to do, there's so many little workarounds and like sequence breaks in that game that you can do just about anything, but like to do it is difficult. So if you're a big fan of Me in the Hollower and you want to see this, like go look up this list and see what kind of masochist you are, or just look it up on YouTube and watch it because it's not that big of a deal.
This is good fodder for speedrunners. This will be
Yes.
a good like speedrunner secret ending %.
Yes, but I hate to be so coy about it, but if I talk more about it, then it would ruin it. So if you want to know what I'm talking about, go look it up. But it is crazy.
Yeah, that's so. Okay, so we gotta move on because that's fucking crazy.
It is. Last but not least, I saw this thing called Stonk Rider. I don't know if you've seen this, but you could basically pick any stock and then you could ride a little Excite bike through
trails. You play trails.
You play trails through the little trials through the little stock thing. So like you
fucking fly too.
You get like points for doing flips and Supermans and stuff, and you got to pick yourself a good stock that goes up and down, as opposed to one that's just like on the up and up. But if you go to stonkrider.com, if you want to take some pleasure in the stock market, it's free. There's little leaderboards. You can post it to your social media. So go check it out if you feel like it.
Where the Happy Wheels people are asleep at the wheel.
And that's our show. We only went ridiculously over time, but we're there. Bryce, tell the fine folks on the internet where they could find you when you're not over here helping me go through the crazy news of the week.
So we just restarted Marbles on stream, the LFG Marbles Racing League. You can check out the information at marbles.win. We are live on Thursday evenings here on Twitch, twitch.tv/Brycas, Brycas. And then also I've been doing videos on my YouTube about Formula One, called Blind Corners. Mm-hmm. It's on the same channel where we did the Two Tusks podcast. So if you're already there, you've probably already seen some of it in your feed. Mm-hmm.
Did you do the Le Mans? Did you do an episode on the Le Mans, or was that?
No, Le Mans.
That's not F1.
That's not F1. That's
okay.
But the thing I'm trying to do is to some of the F1 content creators out there, especially because they have like ad sponsorship deals, they cover everything. They do everything. It's like all reaction to free practice 2, and it's like we don't need. You didn't need to spend an hour and a half talking about the hour-long practice. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
So I am just focusing, especially for my own mental health, on like the important stuff and the big stuff. Mm-hmm. So if you're interested in that, it's called Blind Corners, or just look up Bryce Castillo on YouTube. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And because we're over time, I'm going to say patreon.com/RageSelect. Go there. The podcast takes a lot of work, so if you like it, $5 a month is all it takes to help make that a thing. And now, if you'll excuse me, I have 7 more episodes of Touch Your Heart left to watch. And oh boy, after that podcast, I'm going to watch them all in a row. All right. Bye, everybody.
Now touch my heart. Still
no idea.
Now touch my heart. Anyway.